I'm ready. So is this camera even is it facing
We're
me?
live.
It looks like it's facing the back of my canvas.
No, we can see you.
It's good? Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
good. You're live, man.
All right. All right. Hey, everybody. So I can start.
Yeah. What's up? Hey, guys. We're live streaming, and this is Aaron Westerberg. He's going to be doing a Zorn palette demo today, and answering your questions. So if you want to ask a question, you can go to proko.com/547. There's that link up at the top of the screen. And ask your question.
You can ask pretty much anything.
Pretty much anything,
Pretty much anything.
but primarily painting questions.
Painting related.
Because, you know, he's doing a Zorn palette painting demo, portrait.
Yes.
And
Yes.
go ahead and talk, and I'll show them the image.
Images. Okay. So today what I'm going to do is a portrait painting with a limited palette. I'm going to use just cad red, yellow ochre, and ivory black. And
Point to those again, sorry.
cad red, yellow ochre, and ivory black. And the yellow ochre is pretty universal. You can use almost any, brand yellow ochre. I use either Utrecht or Rembrandt. Some yellow ochres are darker than others. I like the ones that are a little bit lighter. And the color that changes a lot between brands is the cad red. This is actually cad red medium Rembrandt, and it's good. I also like Winsor Newton cad red, just straight cad red. It's almost like a primary red. This one's a little bit lighter than the Winsor Newton, but they're both good. And what this is basically a limited primary palette. Black, ivory black is basically your blue, right? It's a very muted blue, right? And this is your yellow, right? Super muted also. And then the red. The red is the power in the palette. So this is, it's called Anders Zorn's palette, but a lot of portrait painters used it, including Sargent and many. Zorn just kind of popularized it because he used it really well. And he also painted figures, and that was something that a lot of portrait painters didn't paint. So maybe we can see some of the examples of Zorn's work, and I can kind of just show you. So what Zorn did a lot is he restricted the palette and just really maximized each of the color schemes. So he wouldn't put everything in there all at once. He wouldn't put a lot of red with a lot of green. He would really, use the simple harmonies. Okay, so this one's kind of I call this one the McDonald's color scheme because it's very yellow and red. Right?
Yeah.
And this image is overly saturated for sure. That red is not that red. But
you're seeing it on the TV, which is probably too saturated. But
okay, well,
but it's probably still too saturated.
It might look good. So it just depends. But yeah, that's actually his wife going through his drawings. But
Which one do you want me to show?
okay, can you show on the top? There's the self-portrait with the sculpture on the right. Yeah, right there. Yeah, that one. So this is a self-portrait he did, and you can see very muted. Just it's mostly black. Black and white with a little bit of yellow ochre. And just that little red on his lapel there, the little red dash saying, "Hey, look at me." And there's red on his ears and his face, but it's very, very limited. And that was a sculpture of his wife too, by the way. But anyway, okay, let's go to another one.
Okay.
Another Zorn one. So yeah, the one right next to it's good. The one in the fur. Yeah, that one's good. So another super limited palette. Again, just a lot of yellow ochre, black, and a teeny tiny bit of red. And that fur coat is super thin. There's hardly any paint on that fur coat at all. So he was economy at brushmanship, edges, color, and texture also. Okay, and maybe go to the one where it's
God, I keep messing up.
I think some are overlapping other ones.
I don't think so.
There's the prostitute one. There's a prostitute.
Which one? This one?
Yeah, that's a 19th century prostitute.
Okay.
It's another one with McDonald's color scheme. But But it's she's outdoors. It's night. There's the light from the cafe shining, kind of backlit. So again, on this monitor over here, it looks more saturated than it actually is. But
way more. That's
okay. But again, just really good edges, values, all very, very clean. And Zorn did everything well, pretty much. He sculpted, he actually did watercolors before he did oils. And he did etchings, that are really good. So you should look that up. But, okay, and then there's a wedding one right next to this one. It's like a girl in a wedding dress. This is a watercolor one, but there's like no color in it at all. It's just black and white with a little bit of yellow ochre. This one's one of my favorite paintings to show people too, because he would do whatever it took to make the composition work, right? So if you notice, there's a chair. She's kind of looking at it. It's on the in front of her. See, he obliterated the leg of that chair. You see that? How the leg is just gone. It's because it took away too much attention from her face. If you kind of draw on a leg there, your eye goes right to it. There's a lot of contrast between the leg and the chair and the ground, and he just obliterated it. Got rid of it completely because it took away from the focal point. But another great example of no color at all, or very little color, and still the temperatures are correct, right? So cool light, warm shadows. You can see the yellow on the back of her arm and kind of the waist area of her. It's a really warm kind of yellow ochre, but really just strong composition, strong design, and so it didn't need a lot of color to help it. Okay, let's do one more. Let's do the one where he's got the palette in his hand. The ones from right down.
Oh yeah.
Okay, this is the one where a lot of people say, well, how do you know which colors he used? Well, you don't know exactly what colors he used, but there's a good idea right there. Black, cad red, yellow ochre, and white on his palette. And the other thing is, do studies of these paintings. You can do small studies of these paintings, and you can glean a lot of information on, just how powerful the palette actually is. But again, this one is, heavy in the browns, not too much red at all, except for on his palette. And, just really good at implying what's going on. Everything's not found. There's a lot of lost information. And you just understand because it's just really well designed, really well placed. But yeah, I guess that's it.
Third painting.
Yeah. So wait, let me. Can you go to the one with the dog with the sergeant? I just want to show you guys a sergeant painting.
Where
it's
is it?
Bottom left-hand corner. This is a sergeant painting, and see, Zorn palette. Yellow ochre, red, and black, and it's fabulous. He's got a little bit more, blue, on her face than than Zorn would. But it could be black. It could be just black and yellow ochre in different spots.
Yeah.
But all that's well within the palette. It's just masterfully done. Just great edges and great design. So and the thing with, I'll talk about this later, but see how good Sargent is. I mean, there's hardly any value changes on her face at all. In the lights, it's almost one big value. If you made that black and white, there'd be hardly any changes in value. But it's just little temperature shifts here and there, and it's just so gorgeous to look at. You just want to look at it. But okay, so let's get started. So the first thing that I'm going to do is draw. And this is, yes, that's my reference right there. And so, Stan, did we mention the masterpiece?
No.
Okay, yes. I have a demonstration through proko.com/Westerberg. And you can, it's...
Here, why don't you set up and I'll talk about it.
Okay, yeah, do that.
So Aaron did a masterpiece demo with us where he painted a portrait. We filmed him for 3 days at his studio, and we have it available at proko.com/Westerberg. And today only, it's 20% off. If you guys want to go there and pick it up, you just have to use coupon code Westerberg20. and it's on screen there on the top right.
And it has everything that I do. I shoot the model.
That's right. Yeah.
Prime my panel. I don't know what else I do. I do a little color comp.
Yeah.
Prior to the painting.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, you do 2 paintings.
Yeah, I do color comp. I shoot the model
with a camera. Jesus. All right, I'm gonna go to your palette.
Okay.
Sorry. Palette.
So I'm just generally blocking in, where I want her on the page, and she's looking down a little bit, or a lot, and just want to get the general parameters of where she's going to be, and then I'm going to zoom right in and go to work. And I prime this panel. It looks it's just black. I just actually used black, and there might have been a little bit of yellow ochre in it, I think, but it is just straight black. And I primed it last night, so I can still remove the paint if I need to all the way to white, but I don't necessarily need to do that anywhere on here yet. But
somebody said Westerberg is hot.
All right. I don't know what to say about that.
Love his beard.
Okay.
Everything about him is lovable.
Okay.
Yeah, he is hot. These are real. These are real comments.
Okay. Should I?
They want to see you. He is not hot. He looks cool. People are actually arguing on the YouTube chat about what you look like.
All right.
Here you go, guys. Here's another shot of hot Aaron.
I'm single.
Put on the Bumble hat. There you go.
All right.
This is not sponsored.
Free ad from Bumble.
He's all blushing now. Look what you guys
got me all flustered. Okay. So this is, it's the position of the head is 3/4. I'm seeing a little bit of the far side of her face, and what I'm doing right now is just really simplifying the features into big abstract shapes. And I'm kind of looking up at her a little bit, so I'm seeing a little bit of the bottom of her nose. Her bottom of her nose is kind of going right along with the in front of the far eye. So I'm going to start there because it's a big overlap. Just kind of get that right. And, I'm just drawing with, this is just black and white and a little bit of red. It's kind of a purple color. Can you show my palette shot? Yeah, right there. So this color right here is just black with white, and then I put a little bit of red into it. I don't know if that's clear. It's kind of clear. And that's what I'm going to draw with at the beginning here.
Cool. Let me know when you want me to start asking you questions.
You can ask me questions.
Yeah? Okay.
I think so.
I guess this part is just you doing the lay-in. It's not really Zorn.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is just drawing. But any questions fine though.
Okay. Oh boy, this is a. Here, I'll start with a simpler question.
Okay.
Someone asked a 3-parter. I'll come back to that one.
Okay.
We'll start with an easy one.
Okay, good.
Hey, what limited palette would you recommend to start with in an oil painting?
Well. What's that guy's name?
Zorn? Oh, this person? Daniel.
Just his first name, Daniel. Well, Daniel, it depends on what you're painting. If you're painting a indoor portrait, I would say the Zorn palette is good for that. It really depends on what you're trying to paint. If you're painting outside, you need more color. And I have a website and I have a blog, and on the blog, I have the addition. I added 3 colors to the Zorn palette, and those 3 colors are Cad Yellow, Ultramarine Blue, and Alizarin Crimson, and that makes it an outdoor palette. You know, you can paint with it outdoors for sure. Um, and I think it's one of the newest blog posts I have on there. But you know, when you're painting outdoors, you got the if it's sunny outside, you got that bright blue sky, so that's gonna add a lot more color onto whatever it is you're painting. You know, everything reflects back down from that from the blue sky. So,
Now, why did you add those 3?
good question, Stan. Good question. So when you add those 3, it turns into a warm cool palette. So you have yellow ochre, then you have cad yellow, which is warm, and then you have ultramarine blue and black, and then cad red, and then alizarin crimson, which is a cool red. And it just gives you an extreme amount of more power in terms of color. You just have way more color, and it's I did a color chart of it, the additions to the palette on the blog post, and you can see it's just supercharged, the Zorn palette. So I didn't start this way. I started with what a Schmid's palette was, because that's basically how I learned how to paint, was the Schmid book. But I went back, I started with a bunch of color, then I stepped back and used the Zorn palette, because I didn't know what I was doing. It's just a bunch of really powerful colors that I didn't know how to use really. And just to step back a little bit, a lot of what I'll do right now too is use these little Q-tips to help draw, because you can just go in there and just erase little areas really easily. And it's nice to kind of keep things tidy. You get a lot of different kinds of Q-tips. These ones are pointy, right? So they're like manicure ones, and these ones are normal. But they're good. They're all good for removing paint. So did that guy say anything about what he wanted to paint?
No, it's just what's a good limited palette.
Oh.
There's also just like burn umber pick out or black and white. Right?
Yeah, you could do beautiful things with one color. Just black. You don't need.
You don't even need the white.
Right.
You just pick out.
Yeah, and I've done hundreds of those paintings too. Before I knew how to do color, here's a story. Before I knew how to do, paint in color, full color, I could draw, but I couldn't, use color. I did a lot of monochromatic paintings for galleries, because you can sell a painting for more than a drawing. So I did a lot of monochromatic paintings early on in my career, and I got really good at doing them. And they're great. They're great for learning how to draw with the brush, for familiarizing yourself with the medium, and just getting better at oil painting in general. Those one color paintings. And basically those underpaintings are the backbone of a lot of my paintings anyway. I try to keep my paintings pretty thin, in spots. I want as much variety as possible. So, texture is important, thin versus thick, warm versus cool, all that kind of stuff is important. The more variety, the better. Nature never repeats, so you shouldn't either. And I know some things repeat, like the Fibonacci sequence repeats and things like that, but that's, try to find me 2 snowflakes that are the same, or something like that. It's very difficult. Or 2 leaves, or 2 rocks, even 2 people is very rare thing to find. You can ask me another question.
Yes. Does the Zorn palette work for painting the skin tones of South Asian, East Asian, Southeast Asian, who are more yellow leaning green based? If not, how could it be adjusted to better suit painting those ethnicities?
Yeah, it can be, it's, yellow and black make green, and just black with white is your blue, your maximum blue. And they're gonna not, I mean, it's indoors, there's not going to be anything much, there's not going to be that many saturated colors in the face. Only when you get outdoors or start using, different lighting setups do things get more complex, color-wise. So it's good for, all different nationalities and races of people. Uh, so yes, it's good. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, the Zorn palette is just really good for all shades of brown, really. Like,
Yeah,
you just make really good browns
exactly.
any value, and then you can shift towards green a little bit, towards purple a little bit, and towards blue a little bit.
Exactly.
But not much. But you don't need, I mean, nobody's like purple. Nobody's actually yellow. Not bright like lemon yellow. Just ochre is good enough.
Right. You're not painting any superheroes or anything like that, so
Yeah.
there's no thing or anything like that. So it works well just in general for painting people indoors, and um and it helps simplify your, you can concentrate on other things like drawing and composition and just, work your way into more complex color. And that's what I do anyway. Even when I'm painting, I'm going to be starting off real limited in terms of color and then adding more color. I'm not going to try to go in right off the bat with a ton of color. I slowly bring it in. But you see, I'm just kind of filling in the shapes as I go, and I really have to like see the shapes before I can do too much to them. Before I can move them around and see if they're in the right spot or not. I want to see them. So if I can see them, then I can move them. If everything is ambiguous, then it's difficult to do too much. So, and I'm just trying to be real thin and real graphic right now, just real blocky. Okay, do you got another question?
Sure.
Maestro?
Do you work from life as well as working from models that you have photographed in your photo session?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, in the demo that I did with Proko, Stan, I go over that because what I do is I do a small color study before I do the larger work because I can do it faster, and I'm just worried about the big color shapes and not so much the detail of the drawing. But I've done a lot of drawing or a lot of painting and drawing from life, so I'm fairly familiar with what happens and everything in terms of light. But photos lie, so you have to be aware of that. And I mean, there's a lot of lies that photos do. They make the shadows too dark, make the edges too hard. There's a lot of different things. So you want to be aware of that. So when you do see a photo, like if you're looking at a photo that you shot yourself, you kind of know what aspects are exaggerated. And, you can kind of tell when someone works from a photo too, if it's, really, really dark, like all the shadows are kind of the same darkness, same value darkness. That's one tell. But yeah, I like to do both. I like to see what my image looks like from life, and then a lot of times, I'll shoot it because the model can't hold that pose. It's just too complex a pose, or it's gonna cost too much to. She's got a little smirk, so I want to make sure I get that smirk in here. But it's gonna cost too much to have the model pose for 30 hours or however long it takes me to. And her mouth is slightly open too, so I want to get that. But yeah, photos lie, so you got to be aware of that. That's the main thing. And I always like to get a good idea of what the actual colors and values are doing from life before I go in to do a large study, large painting. And it's on the video, the demo thingamajig. That's 20% off right now.
Proko.com/Westerberg.
That's it.
Use coupon code Westerberg20.
That's right.
20.
20%. That's good. Because it's only $100, right? Like $100.
Let me see. What is that now?
Well, without the 20% off, it's
Yeah.
$100, right? Or 99.
Ah, jeez. Logged in. I don't know. I'm logged in, and I
I'm
see the
pretty
price.
sure.
I think it's about $100, and
Yeah.
then you get 20% off.
Yeah, 20% off of $100. So you save $20. Good deal.
Yeah.
And the video there's two versions of the video. There's a long version and a short version, right? Do you still have that?
Yeah, but they buy both now.
Yeah, they can. But yeah, in the package you can either watch like 3-hour version of the demo or a 8-hour.
Yeah, we have. So it's a real-time version where we kept pretty much every brush stroke, but we just like took out pauses and stuff. And then there's the. It's not sped up. It's still kind of like. You know, his hand is moving at the same speed. We just took out parts that. You know, where things were a little boring or he wasn't doing too much. You know, paintings sometimes there's areas where you're just like.
It's like watching grass grow.
Yeah, so we kept all the most important information and we cut it down to like 3 hours. So you can still learn everything that you would from the real time, but in 3 hours.
Yeah, you can kind of go back and look in detail in some of the areas that you want more information in. So, you know, watch the thing real quick and then get more in depth later if you so choose.
Yep.
And I talk about everything, you know, all the mixing and all that stuff you got to do to successfully paint a head. It's the demo is like a 3/4 figure or something like that. It's more than the head. Oh, there's 2 hands in there too, right? Yeah.
BTS Army has a question. Oh wait, no, I already asked that one. Never mind. That was about the one with the skin tones.
Oh,
Sorry. Dana asks, do you work from life as well as working from... Wait, I already asked that one as well.
yeah. That's upstairs.
I'm behind. Okay, here's a new one.
Okay.
Joe, I would like to ask, how do you achieve a vibrant piece while still using a limited color palette?
Well, that's a good question. Yeah, it's tricky. But what you want to do is kind of the same thing I was alluding to with those paintings, looking at the paintings of Sargent and Zorn. You know, they really restrict a lot of the color and use the other colors to kind of enhance whatever color it might be. Like you saw in that one Zorn painting, he had that little red ribbon on his lapel, all right? So wanted to make sure that you're looking at him. And then with the Sargent, you know, she had a red kind of sash on, kind of like a thing. But you know, they use color to move your eye through the painting, and they restrict it in other areas so that the areas that do have color and the colors and the areas that you do want to, the painter wants you to look at, are more vibrant. You know, so they restrict the colors for the focal point. This is a little bit more than the guy asked, but you know, because there's a lot to, you know, making a vibrant colored painting. You know, some of it is, you know, being real clean with your color and not just, you know, using the same brush to mix every single you know, every single mixture. You know, in general, you guys have probably heard this before, but you know, you basically want, you know, one brush for your light areas and one brush for your darker areas, so that you're not going back and forth in between those two brushes, or in between those two values. You want to keep them fairly separated. And I mean, normally I do that, but when you have a dark color mixed up, it's on your brush, and you want to use a lighter color, the dark paint is still on your brush, and so it doesn't get all the way out there. Same with the light paint. So if you use a lot of white and then go in to mix a dark color, it's kind of going to get washed out just because of the residual paint in your brush. So it's good to have more than one brush, and keep your darks and lights separate. Oh, you know what? Okay, maybe this is a good time to go over that one little secret thing that we're talking about. Yeah.
What secret? You talking about the Zorn values?
The checkerboard thing. No.
Oh, the checkerboard. Okay.
The checkerboard thing.
Here,
because
I'll pull it up quick.
Don't pull up the double one, only the single one. So I teach regular class. Well, I used to. So, okay, perfect. All right, so I say two things in my classes, over and over again. There's two principles that I use over and over again. One is simpler is always better, okay? And I can go into that in a minute. But the other thing is things look like the way they do because of what's around them. Nothing looks like, this because it's just intrinsically this, for lack of a better description. But so you see these two squares on here, A and B. Square A looks dark and square B looks like a light checkerboard color, just black and white, right? But you see A is surrounded by light squares and B is surrounded by dark squares. Okay, so the trick here is square A and square B are actually exactly the same value. All right, they just look really different because what's surrounding them. Okay, so all right, can you show the proof?
Yeah.
So even the proof, it kind of looks different, but so you can see they're exactly the same color and value, no difference at all. And even when I put those two bars next to the squares, the bars almost look like they have a gradation on them because of what's behind them. But believe me, they're the same color and value. But it's the same with everything. It's the same with scale. You want to make a building look big, put some little people or little cars in front of it. You want to make a landscape look like it have more depth. Put big things in the front and small things in the back. And the same with value. You want things make things look more further away. Lessen the contrast between your darks and lights. And but anyway, yeah, nothing exists in isolation. So like if you want to make, like for example, I reference her jacket, her scarf look really rich, then everything else is going to have to be more muted, you're always at the beginning, hopefully anyway, you're kind of telling yourself what you want to be or have as your star. What's the main focal point? Who's the star in this story? And then everything else should be downgraded to less than the star. Everything else is just supporting actors. You can't have the supporting actors taking over the big box office draw, right? Because if they do, then why are you paying the Brad Pitt money? You gotta.
You have a thing for Brad Pitt?
So.
No, that's a question.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, he's cute.
Me too.
Okay. Yeah, I just saw. What's the Nazi one? The Inglorious Bastards. Yeah, just saw that one. Anyway, but oh no, I saw another one too. A tank one. Anyway, there's another movie where he's like
a tank one.
Yeah, he's a captain of a tank team in. I think he's is it Germany? I think it's just called Tank or something like that. It's a
Fury?
really good movie. Do you know which one it is?
Fury?
Fury. Yeah, that's a great movie. Have you seen it?
No, I just looked it up.
It's great. Yeah, I didn't even know about it until last year. But yeah, it's a really good movie.
Oh, he has the haircut that I wish I had the balls to have.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's the haircut?
It's just like the sides are completely, like almost completely shaven instead of kind of.
It's a World War II. It's a war movie, and is he American? It's America, right? He's American. I forget.
Let me see. It's World
I
War
think they're
II.
fighting the Nazis in there. I forget. It's just a good movie though. It's got a lot of
Yeah, U.S.
stars.
tank crew fighting in Nazi Germany
Yeah.
during World War II.
Okay, yeah, I got it right. Yeah, good movie, good Brad Pitt movie. I like Tom Cruise too. He's cool. Mission Impossible.
Nice.
But yeah, so long story short, nothing exists in isolation. If you want to make something sing, then restrict its opposite. It's and like I said a million times here, but it's with everything. So you'll see like one of my favorite painters and stands to is Nikolai Fashion, right?
Oh yeah.
So a lot of times he'll paint like little kids, little Native American kids holding a Kachina doll or something like that. And what he'll do is he'll put the background real textured, a lot of impasto paint and real textured background. And what that does is it makes the skin tones look, extra smooth and nice and soft comparatively, right? Because he's got the contrast. Yeah.
Trying to find one.
Nikolai Fashion. They have a few of his paintings at the San Diego Museum of Art, and that's actually, it just depends on which ones they have out, but yeah, I love me some Fashion, and he was one of his teachers was Repin too, Ela Repin. Not his main
Here.
teacher.
Does this one show it well?
No.
Not really, huh?
No.
Because the texture is almost the same on the face.
Yeah. If you do like type in like Fashion boy Kachina doll, or girl, there's like with the purple, the ones that the San Diego Museum of Art have.
Can't find it.
Stan, you're letting me down.
What is?
Type in like Fashion and Native American, or just type in Fashion Native Child. See if that does it.
What's the child wearing? Because I mean, there's a lot of stuff.
There's a bunch of them, but one there, it's this little girl wearing like a purple dress. She's holding a Kachina doll, purple dress. There's one where
I found a purple dress and she's got a dog on her lap.
well, that's one. I mean, he's done a lot of paintings, so.
I don't know why it's not coming up. Oh, I think I got the one you're looking for.
Oh yeah, that's the one. So good.
Oh, dang it. There.
Yeah, so good.
So the face
so
looks. You're saying the face looks more.
Yeah, the skin and the face. This one, it's in context. This isn't as much of a portrait. It's a little bit more of a full figure one, and it's small. I don't think this one's bigger than 18 by 24. So it's not a great example of making the skin look extra soft versus the background, but you can still see how textural his backgrounds are, and it nothing is outlined or anything like that. Like she's holding a pretty big Kachina doll, and it doesn't look awkward at all. It looks good. But yeah, it's his last name is spelled Fechin, and it's pronounced Fashion.
I think my audience is probably. I talk about him like every single time I stream. I
And I know that's how you pronounce his name because his daughter told me. Like when his daughter was alive, she was at the patient house, which is in Taos,
Yeah.
and her name was Ia. And in Russian, it's E and Y. You're Russian.
I'm Ukrainian.
Oh, you're Ukrainian.
But yeah, fishing.
Yeah. Patient actually lived in Santa Monica for a while too. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, there's a bunch of paintings that he did of like Laguna Beach, cliffs, and all that stuff. There.
How about this one?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Soft
That's a good
skin, textured background.
Yeah. Yeah, he was really good at, doing the dry brush thing. And he kind of broke away from the academic tradition and painted portraits, Repin and a lot of his contemporaries, they were focused on like historical, allegorical paintings. And he did paint those early on, but broke away from that. And did more portraits and just more portraits. He did a lot of portraits. He did Hollywood movie stars, famous writers, all kinds of people, especially when he lived in Taos. He got a divorce and then moved to Santa Monica. And he taught in Santa Monica too. So somebody you might know may have taken class with him.
Jason asks, why do you think the Zorn palette has become so notable that it has its own name?
I don't know. I think it's just because Andrew Zorn was good. He's a really good painter. And so it's kind of like one of those, maybe one of those kind of like old master things. It's kind of like, oh, you don't use 3 colors, and I don't know, exactly. I couldn't tell you. Just a guess. I'm giving her a little bit more of a ponytail. I'm kind of extending her hair out over there a little bit. Just because I think it'll look better, kind of fill that little area. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't even know about the Zorn palette for a long time. It wasn't until actually a guy named Ryan Wormser told me about it. And I was like, whoa, that's cool. And I started using it, and really, I just wanted my color sense to be more well-rounded. I wanted to know where all the fancy kind of shortcut colors came from, like all the raw umber, burnt sienna, raw sienna, like what colors made those colors? Those are tertiary colors, right? So, how can I make those? And oh, something. No.
Well,
I don't know. Something moved on my screen here, but I don't know what it was. So yeah, I don't know why it's gotten popular, but it has.
Estone? Yes, I don't know. Someone asks, I enjoy your use of color, and I'm wondering how best to employ color for larger scenes. Do you find thumbnailing or color studies work best, or are you largely reliant on color relationships, complements, etc.?
Okay, well, I, when I do work larger, I for sure do a smaller painting before I do the larger painting, right? Because I don't want to waste time or energy or materials. So, whatever that painting may, include, like the color scheme, it depends. Could be anything. It doesn't matter. I'm still going to do a smaller version of it before I blow it up larger. But, if there's kind of like a few different ways that question could be answered because there's a few different questions there. But one of the best ways to study color, there's a lot of good ways. One is to plein air paint, go paint outside. That's one of the best. Another one is still lifes. Painting people is one of the hardest things to do, right? Because there's so much drawing involved. But painting a still life, you can sit there and paint that thing all day, right? So that's a really good way to study color. And I got a lot better at color by painting still lifes, honestly, more so than landscapes or anything like that. So, if you want to get better at color, and the other great way to get good at color, study other painters that you like. Copy what they do, see how they use color. That's one of the greatest ways you can learn color, honestly, is see what they did. And it's all the same thing. No one's doing anything super new or dynamic. There's new colors, but new synthetic colors like quinacridone colors and everything like that. But in general, color's the same, and the improvements in color, were made a lot by, the Impressionists and, back in the day, and they really started playing around with color. And, even, Sargent got into being more impressionistic, and I don't know. Is there another question, or do you think I should show that Sargent thing right now? Maybe I'll show that later. The Sargent secret.
Oh, yeah, you could.
Well, I'll talk about it later. It's not really too relevant enough.
Yeah, maybe while you're painting, probably better. Do you know my daughter's named after a quinacridone?
Yeah,
Yes, her name's Quinn Rose.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's that's funny.
But Quinn with two N's, like the actual name Quinn.
Like Harlequin?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that. That's cool. I liked Sargent's sister's name, Violet. I like that name. Quinacridone Violet is one of my favorite colors. That's the color that I use instead of alizarin crimson. It's quinacridone Violet. And I use a ton of it. I like pink too. But yeah, those colors are new and exciting. And
is it on your palette right now?
Yeah, it's right here. I mean,
oh, it looks kind of dark on there.
You can't see too much. Yeah. I mean, right next to it is the transparent oxide red, and you really can't see a difference between the two of those. A lot of colors are like that, especially the dark ones. You really got to open them up, add white to them to really see their full, magnitude and beauty and all that stuff. So don't be afraid to add white. Adding white is a necessity sometimes. And so I'm just blocking things in right now, just trying to be real general still. And what I'm going to do right now is, because I want to put some actual darks in there, there's no really, everything is just, this is still a pretty light value right here. But
which one? Sorry, I was...
the color that I'm using to draw, this color. So what I want to do is show you some mixing right now. And I'm going to go over, one of the most important parts of this demo here is showing, the mixes, all right? So this is just ivory black, right? And there's a lot of different kinds of black, all right? Especially now, there's so many different kinds of black. Paint manufacturers want to just sell you more paint, so they make up more colors. But this is ivory black, which is a little bit cooler, on the cooler side of black, versus Mars black. Mars black's a little bit warmer, and it dries up a little bit faster. But I really never just use black for my darks. I always mix it with another color, okay? And that there's a lot of reasons for that. The two main ones are black is just kind of boring on its own. I want to put some other colors into it to make it a little bit more lively, and I want to shift it, temperature-wise. So this black, I want it to be a little bit more warm. The other reason is, you know, ivory black is an unstable color. It's not as strong molecularly as other colors. And so it helps the stability of the color by mixing it with another color, the ivory black. So I do that, you know. But so this is black with a little bit of red, and you can see that pretty good. So I'm gonna just show you real quick how to get some browns. So I'm gonna mix up like a burnt sienna. All right, this is kind of like can't see that too well, but that's burnt sienna. You know, like a deep burnt sienna, and then warm it up a little bit, add a little bit of yellow ochre, turn it into almost a raw sienna, and depending on how much yellow ochre you put in there. Yeah, these aren't coming across. It looks does it look warm on your screen? It looks cool on this one.
Here, hold on. I'm trying to zoom in on your palette real quick so that. Okay.
So you can make, you know, the full gamut of browns with this color, you know, and okay, yeah, that's
Let me see. How does it look like?
Just look, you know, like to see how much warmer that color is. It looks cool on the screen.
From the, yeah.
But you know, I'll just tell them.
Yeah,
this looks really
looks
red.
almost black on the
Yeah,
screen.
and cool. But this is this color right here is pretty warm red. It's
Well, can you maybe tilt the palette a little bit? Maybe it'll reveal it. Like tilt it back down. I don't know.
no, it just gets
No,
more
it doesn't.
color.
That's so weird.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Well, maybe if I put, I don't know if I put this white next to it. No, it doesn't do anything.
I don't know why it's doing it.
But you know, it's subtle. They're almost the same value, but they're different temperatures. So, so anyway, yeah, you can make almost any brown with this color, with this palette. You know, you can, I'll just show you a couple of my kind of favorite mixes that I use with this palette. So yellow ochre and black is going to be your green, right? So the green, to get it to look as green as it can look, you know, I want to put it next to something that it's the opposite of. So the red, you know. So I don't know what the hell. You can barely see that, but it's a muted green. It's a real nice kind of, you know, I hate to put names in front of colors besides the description of the color, but it's kind of like an olivey green, kind of, you know. But it's a blue muted green. Okay. I generally don't like names of colors because it doesn't help with the description of the color. It's just what everyone thinks that name means. It's not the description. So I usually like saying, you know, it's a muted blue green or yellow green or purple green or whatever. But anyway, you can kind of see there. I don't know. And so I'm just gonna, let me do a couple of little things. Okay, so sometimes what I'll use, sometimes, not very often, is liquid. You know, when I want to, can you see that? How come it's not focusing?
It's
okay.
It's fine. It looks good.
See. Anyway, it's liquid.
Here, go. I'll go to your face camera. You can show it in your face. Yeah, it's not any better. Whatever.
Don't. It's very poisonous.
Don't drink it.
Don't drink it. Don't smell it. Use open doors when you're inside painting. Open the window. But I want to put some washes down, and I want them to kind of tack up pretty quick because doing a demo, and I want to get the value in there, but I don't. I want to put down this little dark wash before I do that. So, and there's a bit of glare there too. That's okay. And painting it's your creation, so you can add or do whatever you want. I'm going to make the scarf a little bit different than it is because I think it's just more interesting to me. So when I was going to art school, I studied with Jeff Watts. I didn't really go to art school ever. I wanted to, but long story. But I remember back in the day, there was always the discussion of, painting what you see versus what you know versus what you want to see, right? So, at the end of the day, you kind of, I paint what I want to see, and that is, that determines how my paintings look, So sometimes I'll remove things. Like we didn't go over this or anything, Stan, but one of the things that Sargent rarely paints. Do you know the answer, Stan? In a female figure, what does he rarely ever paint?
Either hands or feet. I don't know. Feet? Hands?
Probably feet, but no, that's not what I'm going for.
Smiles?
No. Collarbones.
Collarbones. Okay.
Go look at any of his formal portraits. The collarbone is right there, right? He just has a plane change. It goes like dark to light. But there's no cast shadows for.
It actually looks a little weird. I know.
Sometimes,
there's a
if you look at Madame X, look at all of them. But I never thought about it until I had that problem where I was painting a figure and the model had a big shadow from her collarbone, and it just sticks out because it's surrounded by light. It's just got this dark surrounded by light. And so I, whenever I have a problem, I do, what would Sargent do? And looked at his paintings, and he doesn't draw collarbones. Rarely does he have a collarbone in his paintings. It's mostly he just puts a plane change from front of the torso, chest to top, and it's surprising. I never realized it until I had that problem and saw how he handled it. So
there it is.
Yeah, where's the collarbone? Barely implied. See that? Just
a tiny bit at the inner.
Right, a little bit right there, the clavicle, and kind of where her shoulder, where her deltoid is. But I mean, come on, there's no bone there. There's no bone there. And it's almost in all of his paintings.
This soft spot right here is a little awkward for me.
Yeah, and even on the other side.
Yeah.
It's awkward.
It looks like a big bump.
It looks like there needs to be something there.
Yeah.
It can. This one is one of the ones where it can look really flat, like there's no top or front. It's just kind of flat, like a piece of paper. But it's one of the greatest paintings ever. And I accidentally just used cobalt blue. Dang.
Uh-oh. They didn't see it because your palette wasn't showing.
Okay, good. Oh yeah, I didn't do anything wrong.
Where did you put it?
Nowhere. It didn't happen.
Wait, let's see if we could zoom in and.
No.
Is it somewhere?
I put it here, but
okay.
It's like it was there and gone in 2 seconds, so no one saw it.
And like glare,
it didn't happen. Glare? Where's glare?
Oh, it's actually not too bad.
On this, it's just because I think she's light valued.
Right here, but it's actually not that different from your painting.
Yeah, it's just
never mind.
And things are gonna. I don't want them to dry, but it is kind of drying matte a little bit. But anyway, yeah. So Sargent rarely drew clavicles or collarbones, and just look it up. You'll see. It's surprising, but it's true. So again, I'm just going in with these dark areas and just putting them in real thin and, you know, not exactly the right color, but close. All right, just, I'm not, it's, you know, they're darker and lighter in spots, but I'm just kind of going for the big pattern right now, you know, what you see when you squint. The big 101. You know, I don't want to say it, but you know, I think. Does everyone know the squint thing, Stan?
I'm sure there's some people that don't.
Okay, well, I'll just give you the thing real quick. You know, you squint down to see what the big pattern of light and dark is in whatever you are painting, and that simplifies it to actually the basic shapes that whatever the thing is. You know, like I'll recognize my dad from a football field away. You know, I don't need detail to see that's my dad. You know, and the same with everything, especially if you're familiar with the person. You know, you don't need as many. You don't need any detail. Just the big light and dark pattern will tell you whatever or whoever it is you're painting. So you squint down, get the essentials, and then put the details in last or close to last. And, you know, procedurally with this painting, you know, I'm going to put my extremes in first. You know, always want to put my extremes in first because the extremes give you your subtleties. Okay. So the extremes can be value, they can be color, they can be edge, they can be a bunch of different things. But here, and, oh, okay. And the other rule that I do with in painting is I always do the easiest things first. Okay. If it's easy, I want to put it down there first because that easy thing is going to allow me to get the more complex things. Right? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So the easy thing here is the dark areas. Once I put those dark areas in there, that makes it easy to see what color the light areas are or supposed to be. Okay.
Someone asked, would love to hear you talk about how you approach background and clothing texture and those more abstract brushwork. Thank you.
How I approach background texture and clothing?
Yeah. I think this is a good time to show you like your color stuff.
My color stuff?
Yeah, like the way you handle backgrounds.
Oh, my color studies?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, these are different. Those are different kind of.
But it's still one way you do it, right? Here, show it by your palette. Oh, is it too?
Well, I don't have the palette camera on, or you don't have that.
Right? Oh, yeah. Sorry. I'll turn it on.
Well, I mean, this is, this is, you know, I don't know. This is a color study that I did like maybe 5 years ago. 2013 is when I did it. It's on the back, 2013. So subtract 2013 from 2021. 8 years ago. You know, it just has some dry brushing and I don't know. But I do these differently than I do my normal paintings. You know, they are different. So
which one should I pull out? I could show something.
Well, I don't know
from the internet.
What was he trying to imply exactly? Can you
I don't know. Talk about approaching background and clothing texture and those more abstract brushwork. I'm not really
okay. I think like transition in rows.
Huh?
Pull up that painting. I just posted it, but you just type it in.
Rows.
Transition in rows, yeah.
Is it one of these things you sent me?
No.
Oh.
It's one of my paintings.
Okay. Well, I'll go to this one while I look for the other one.
Okay.
That's a beautiful.
Yeah, this one I included because it just shows. Well, first of all, I was really proud of myself with this one because I achieved something that's hard to do in that left her face very tiled out. I didn't really blend anything together. And, when you squint down or just get, a little bit back from it, it holds together really well. It doesn't bother you. Her face doesn't look like she was beat up or, in a bar fight or anything like that. It looks good. It looks feminine and soft, even though it's very textural.
There's 2 transition in rows. There's one where she's sitting on a chair and one on the ground. Which one are you looking for?
The one on the chair.
Okay.
I don't know what the one in the ground.
It's like the same fabric. Looks like the same model. She's facing the other way.
Yeah, I have no idea. But this one I think is a good one to show because I think this is what the guy's talking about. I mean, it's hard to say.
Is it on your website? Because I'm only getting small images.
I don't know. I'm sure it is. Somewhere.
On a decent one.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe he's talking about this one, or this is a good one to talk about because, you can see I kept the fabric that's wrapped around her waist very abstract. I didn't, get into the detail too much. Just the big, areas of folds and the main gesture of the fabric. And I left a lot of the underpainting coming through. And the underpainting color was actually Rembrandt raw umber. And so, but see with this one, this is a good example. Stan, good job on this one. So see how, maybe zoom out real quick and you can kind of see how, the kind of scrappiness, the dry brushing and the roughness of the fabric really, and the background really adds to the softness of her skin. Right? The textures look really different against one another and they magnify each other. Right? So a lot of times people do that in still lifes. I see that in Russian academic still lifes all the time. Well, they'll paint like, a fish and an egg and like a sculpture and all kinds of different textured objects. And what it does is it just enhances each of them. Right? So if you put an egg next to I don't know, something that's opposite texture, it really makes the
potato sack.
Huh?
Potato sack.
Potato sack, yeah. So the potato sack will look more potato sack like and textural than the egg. But I think that's what he's talking about. I think this is a good example. And the chair is kind of a shiny brown. Well, it's like a red brown Asian chair, and I don't know. I just think the whole goal of this one is to enhance that little slight twist in her waist. That was the focal point, that little twist, and everything else is just an addition to that, right? So important, but I don't want it to take away, right? So there's nothing flashy or screaming, look at me. Everything kind of leads to that soft area, because she's got a little bit of a cast shadow from her arm on her oblique, and it's just real subtle and soft, and that's what I was going for. Oh shit! So
what happened? It's all right, dude.
Little spill.
It's a painting studio. We'll clean it
All
up
right.
later.
Yeah, it just depends on what your focal point is and what you're trying to do. Right. So that's going to determine how you, how abstract your brushmanship is and how you handle it. But that's an old painting, and I really liked it. And I sell prints of it on my website. If you want to print, it's really good. Watercolor paper, $200, 18 or 16 by 20, I think, or something like that. Well worth it.
Cool.
Made with love. Shipped by me.
Kati asks, how do you recommend using, or do you recommend using cool yellow ochres or warm ones? And how can you tell the difference between them?
Well, Kati, nothing exists in isolation, so you have to judge it against something, and what I was saying earlier is, I have a addition to this palette, and the addition is the warmer yellow, the cad yellow. So when you add cad yellow, yellow ochre becomes cool compared to it. So yeah, it just depends what you're after, like what you're going for. I don't recommend warm yellow or cool yellow. I recommend yellow ochre because it's a good utilitarian color to use for flesh tones. Not too many people are cad yellow. They don't have cad yellow complexions, or the light on them is not cad yellow. That's a real harsh lighting source, and whereas yellow ochre is much more, a little bit more natural, a little more earth tony, organic, and you see that more often. So I recommend the cooler, the yellow ochre versus like the cad yellow. But I mean, the brands that I recommend, I told you, Rembrandt, Utrecht, those are both really quality paints, and they're not expensive. I mean, they're expensive because they're good. They're not student grade paint, but they're quality. They're good. They're well made paints, and I highly recommend them.
Have you tried yellow ochre pale?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Would you do Zorn palette with ochre pale? No,
because it's kind of washed out. If you add white to yellow ochre pale. You know what I mean? It's not that different.
So it's not a little warmer?
I mean, it depends on the brand, but the brands that I've used, it's not been like such a difference that I'm like, oh, I gotta use it. I used to use what's the name of it? Like this yellow white I was using for a while.
Here, try this one. Put it on your palette and see if it makes a difference.
This almost looks exactly like the yellow ochre that I'm using right now. You know what I mean? It's just. I'm gonna put the other closer to it.
Yeah, it does
just
look
slightly lighter. You know what I mean? I mean, look at that. Look at that. You can't even. You wouldn't be able to tell a difference.
Can you smudge the pale as well?
Yeah.
With the palette knife?
Yeah.
It looks a little lighter.
It does look a little lighter and a little warmer, honestly.
Yeah.
But 15%.
Right. It won't make a difference
Right.
in the painting.
Exactly. Yeah. Not enough to, distill a difference. And that's with a lot of colors. They're just trying to sell you color. You know what I mean? It's not like a good thing necessarily. And that's the thing, if you're good with color, you know how colors are made, where they came from, so you don't need to have so many colors on your palette. Be confident with 2 colors or 1 color or 3 colors or 5 colors. And it's fun. It's fun exercise to do limited palette paintings. I did this one painting. It's one of my favorite little nudes. It was a standing nude and back, and I did it with phthalo blue and black. And it was a good one because I limited my value range on it too. I made it a little more high key, and it just looks good. You would never know that I limited the value range. It looks just like full value, even though it's not.
Did you use white?
Yeah, it's phthalo blue, black, and white. Yeah, and so the black was only like barely a number 8. More like a number 6 or 7. And if black was 10, and white is 1.
Is that painting online somewhere?
Yeah, if you type in like Aaron Westerberg standing nude.
Are you sure you want me to type that in? Aaron Westerberg standing nude.
Oil painting.
Oh.
Yeah. OnlyFans.
I'm actually gonna OnlyFans. Yeah. Ask Aaron Westerberg standing nude. I'm not gonna put oil painting. Let's see what happens.
Okay. Kind of scared.
I think the very first result is actually the one that you want to show. Let's see if this is the one. Is that it? Oh, why is it
I can't see it.
stretched out? Wait, or no? Is it stretched out? Oh, shoot.
not
You
up.
guys can't see anything.
No.
That one.
Yeah, that's it.
Does it look too
No,
stretched? Okay.
no, that's perfect. But see, her hair is only like a number 7 value,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
very limited in color and value. And, you know, I like it. It worked out. You know, so it's just an experiment. And, you know, I think I used like 2 brushes to paint that, you know, and the background is really thin, right? And then she is, you know, thick, pretty, you know, not super, super thick, but more opaque than anything else, even though white fabric is pretty thin. You can kind of see on the ground, especially, the difference between no paint and paint, like on her feet. See how it's just a cooler color, you know, and that's just paint versus no paint, basically. So, and see, I'm grouping and simplifying with all her anatomy, you know, and that's the way I like to paint. I don't like to solve everything for the viewer. I want the viewer to participate in my paintings, both visually and mentally.
Yeah, I could see what you were talking about with fashion in this one, where the background has more texture, and then the skin is much softer.
Right, yeah. See how they play off one another? And, you know, no one told me that. Okay, so just to talk about the demo a little bit, I'm going in, I put the general you know, one of the things that's important when you're painting is keeping your palette and everything really clean and tidy. It's a mess right now, so I'm just gonna clean this up a little bit, and then I'm gonna mix up some of my flesh tones. Okay, and always I do more mixing on my palette than on my canvas. You know, I'll mix up way more color and paint on my palette than on my canvas. And I want to keep all my big experimentation here. And so when I'm working up here, it's just a matter of, you know, it looks more spontaneous. I want things to be more fresh. I don't want it to look labored. So, okay, let me just back up a little bit here so I don't get too confused with everything. Okay, so, I guess I'll just...
You're going to be mixing the flesh tones?
Yeah, I'm going to mix some flesh tones, so I kind of wanted to step back a little bit and not use any of the previous mixtures. So this is just yellow ochre right here. And so this mixture is going to be yellow ochre, red, and black. That's also the answer to every question about what I'm mixing today.
the 3 colors, or the 4 colors on the palette.
So this is just red and black, right, which is orange. And then I'm going to gray it with black. Right, gonna mute it down.
You mean red and yellow.
What did I say? Orange?
You said red and black.
Oh, okay. Well, you get it.
Yeah.
So I mixed all 3 colors together. Kind of a greenish color here, a little bit too grayed down. So I want to richen it up a little bit more, putting a little bit more yellow ochre and red into it. I want kind of like a burnt sienna color. That's what I'm looking for right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that color, and then I'm going to open it up. All right. So, you know, open it up means add white. You know, so you can kind of see it a little bit more. And right now what I'm trying to do is get the basic light and dark shadow color for her, you know, for her face. And I already kind of have these ones established here. You can't see, but they look real dark in the photo, but they're not that dark. And just...
Can you tell people why you're using a palette knife to mix?
Yeah, it's a lot easier to use a palette knife in terms of, you know, to clean my, if I was using a brush, it would be hard to clean out all the paint in it. With a palette knife, I can just wipe it right off, and I can control it a lot better. Yeah, it's just a lot easier to mix large and also a lot more paint. This canvas that I'm using is slightly porous, It's a Clausen's, like I think it's a number 12, and it's just mounted to a MDF panel. And okay, so see what I did here is I just opened up this color. Okay, does that make sense? So, and it's a very yellow version of flesh color. So I'm going to vary that a little bit and add a little bit of red to the mix, so I get a little bit more of the variety of color. And don't get mad, Stan.
What are you doing? What, you want me to go on your...
No, I had to move my canvas a little. I don't think it messed anything up.
No, good. If you want to move it down a tiny bit.
No.
Or no, okay.
No, that's right on the top too. Anyway, you just can't see. Like if I do this, you can't see the thing. Yeah,
No
see,
problem.
it's right on the top. But I wanted to get to the bottom of my canvas. I hate that little lip right there that covers it up. So I wanted to get to that. But you can see a lot of red in her face. You know, she has a lot of red from the jacket reflecting back up, and just, you know, her circulation, you know, her complexion rather, is got a lot of red in it. But so now I have a value spread of the flesh tones on her. Okay, and I'm going to start putting those in, and I'm going to start with the easiest thing first, which is the darker areas that are easy, you know. So there's a few of them, but one is on her neck, and I'm going to paint that in a second. I just wanted to kind of get this little... What's wrong with my brush?
What's wrong with my brush?
Yeah, it's not working. This little cast shadow here, and just kind of put that in here. You know, like with her hair, it's just blocked in right now. You know, she has like really soft transitions, you know, here and here, and those are going to come later when I put lighter colors on them. But right now, it's just kind of, you know, boundary explanations more so than anything else. And but I really just want to get some color in there now, so I can start relating everything else. You know, that's the thing. It's hard to start just from nowhere. You know, if you start from just nowhere and start playing with color, it's a lot of times, at least, a very monochromatic paintings. You know, so if you put, you know, a little bit of color here, a little bit of color there, and start working all over a little bit, then it's a little bit easier to see and relate the colors within each other. Okay, I'm still gonna, you know, this still is gonna be a pretty simple color scheme. You know, there's not much going on, but you know, I want to put some shadows in there on her face, and then you know, go forward from there into some of the light areas. So I'm going to put some of the shadows in there, going to put some of the lights in there, and then I'm going to put some of the halftones in between those two, and maybe adjust the two along the way also. Another thing that, you know, a lot of people don't realize is, you know, cad red is a pretty light color. You know, it's light, so you can use it to lighten up other colors, you know, and guess what? Cad red won't get chalky. You know, if you add that to a color to lighten it up, it's actually going to, you know, add saturation. So, so it's a good color to use to lighten up a color, and at the same time, really keep its saturation levels high. And her mouth is, you know, it's slightly open. And but I'm just grouping the whole thing together right now. You know, her teeth and everything just all grouped together. Okay, so now what I want to do is get kind of this transition, you know, this shadow transition from, you know, light into shadow on her face. That shadow is what I want to get first. And you can see there's a fair degree of reflected light bouncing back up from the scarf, especially on her chin area. And I just want to start getting that going as soon as possible, because I don't, I want to get rid of this underpainting color. And, you got any more questions, Dan?
Yeah.
Okay, fire away.
So this one is it's about your approach here. So he says, how does Richard and Nerdrum, probably Richard Schmidt, start a painting as a clay and not so much structural lay-in?
As a clay.
As clay. He's probably, so hold on. The way they paint is opposite of you, and how more of the academic schools teach. Do you ever approach a painting like a sculpture? If this makes sense. So you approached it linearly in the beginning, and you kind of defined all the two-dimensional shapes, right? Like you kind of, shapes. And then you filled in the shadows.
I outlined the boundaries and filled them in.
Yeah, exactly. So he's talking about, like, do you ever approach it like a sculpture where you start with just like a blocky form and then slowly add detail?
It just depends on what I'm painting. If it's a simpler thing, yeah, I'll just worry about the big light and dark patterns, but almost always I start off in a linear way. Almost always. Just give myself big broad boundaries. But then as soon as I can, I try to get rid of my my lines. If there's any lines, I try to get rid of them as soon as I can. That's what I'm kind of rushing to do right now too, is just get rid of all these little lines that are in here and get to more of the tiling, color tiles. But and Schmid, he started a bunch of different ways. He started very linear too. There's several drawings, paintings that he's done where it's a line drawing or an underpainting first. And they're in his book. There's one that's an iron fence, and it's it's just a it's a drawing of an iron fence first, and then he started getting into the details. So it just depends on what you're painting a lot of times, But Nerdrum too, he paints, he does full underpaintings before he paints almost always. It's exactly like Rembrandt, almost exactly the same procedure and everything, as Rembrandt. So, glazing, scraping, a lot of layering of paint and colors. So, it just depends on what you're going for, what the image is, how, and not even just like if it's a human or not, just, how rendered is the human? Are you painting it like Odd Nerdrum, or are you painting it like, Eugene Carrier, or I don't know if you know who Eugene Carrier is, but painted very monochromatic, very big and blocky also, some of them. But yeah, it just depends. What was this question specifically now?
No, I think you answered it.
Okay, good.
Another question. Sometimes, this is from Neeks. Sometimes when painting a portrait, I'll come across a color in my reference picture that I'm not sure how to mix. I can't tell what the color is. What approach do you recommend to take when this happens?
Well, try to look at that color next to a couple other colors and gauge it that way. But whenever I don't know a color, I will mix up as close as I can to that color and then try to think of a word that describes what that color is missing. So for example, I'll put down a green that I'm trying to mix up, and I'll put it down. I'm like, okay, what is this color green missing that is the color that I want? And it needs more blue, needs more yellow, needs desaturated. You're narrowing. It's like geometry. You're narrowing your options. So generally it's not the lightness or darkness of the color, but it could be, you know. But yeah, warmer, cooler, more or less saturated. So it just depends on, um, and how critical the color is too. The most important thing is value, getting the value right. If the value's right, then it's easier. You just try to adjust the temperature, in one way or the other. But if the value's not right, then, you're in trouble.
Okay, you want another question?
Yeah.
This is a very technical one. How does Pyrrol red? I don't know how to pronounce this. Pyrrol. Have you heard of that red? No? Okay, well, it doesn't matter. He's trying to compare it to cadmium red, but if you don't know it, then I've never heard of that color either. You're right. This one's about brushes. Kelly asks, this is one of those what brush do you use questions. Sorry. I use cheaper synthetic brushes because of their affordability, but they seem to swallow the paint and get bad buildup without leaving the paint on the painting like they're supposed to. I've seen that rosemary are a favorite with some artists because they lay the paint down that you load on the brush like intended. What are some good brands or styles of brushes that don't waste the paint like the cheaper ones do?
Yeah, okay, good question, Kelly. I would definitely recommend not buying those cheap, like synthetic brushes that you buy all in a package. They're all like packaged together, different sizes. In general, I would, because a lot of times I buy those, even those like big wash brushes that are real inexpensive, and they're fine. There's nothing wrong with those brushes, but I use rosemary brushes. They're really, really good. And if you want to get specific, she has these new brushes. I mean, I don't know how new they are. New to me, but they're Eclipse.
Which?
They're, I don't know. It has paint on it. So, but these are Eclipse X-Long Comber brushes, right? And I like these a lot. They're very similar to the old Langnickel brushes. But in general, almost every, paint company out there has these are red Sable brushes, right? Which are great. They're great brushes. You get them all different sizes, and these are just very utilitarian and pick up the paint really well. And they're all different. I use these ones also. Oh man, paint all over my hand. These are Princeton.
Here, I'm gonna zoom into your palette, so show it up to the top camera. There. do you see it?
Yeah.
There. Oh, it's kind of blurry, but just keep it closer to the palette again.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, this is the Princeton Red Sable, and they're Klonsky, and these ones.
Kolinsky?
Yeah. It's Kolinsky.
Yeah.
Kolinsky. So Kolinsky partner with almost every brand of brushes, and you can. Those are really good brushes, though. And then my utilitarian brush that I use all over the place are. These are Robert Simmons Signet flats, and I love these brushes. I get them in all different sizes, small, medium, large, all sizes. And these brushes generally I use at the beginning of the painting to scrub everything in. And these are a lot more inexpensive than the Sable brushes, which is good because you go through them more. They're, hog bristle, and generally the brushes that you use at the beginning of the painting, and then the more you refine the painting, the subtler you get, and the more you start demanding a brush that's not going to be as powerful. It's not going to kind of pick off the, take off the paint at that stage, because those those bristle brushes, they'll take off the paint if you keep on using them, unless you start painting really, really thick. My color studies, these, it's all bristle brushes. I didn't use any Sable brushes ever on these. So they're all very, very, thick paint in general. So, that's the difference. These are all about paint and color. They're not about finesse. This is all about finesse. So, so I hope that helps. It's all in the video too. The demo,
This one.
Proko /Westerberg.
Proko.com/Westerberg.
Yeah, Proko.
It's on the screen.
Okay.
Let's see. Do you always paint directly what you see in the reference? How do you approach changing the pose or rotating the subject, or even changing the light scenario when creating a painting, supposing you can't repose the model?
So I guess you're talking about painting in a group, because if the model moves or the lighting changes, I'll change it back to what I'm painting. I don't want any.
Or just even if you're painting from photo reference and you want to change it from what you see.
Yeah, I do that almost every single time. Because sometimes I don't like what's in the photo reference. I'm not going to just, be a slave and copy exactly what is in the reference. I'll change it to whatever. And sometimes I'll change it and I'll, draw it in the photo reference, and then I'll work from that. So it just depends on what it is. But if I'm painting a painting from live and I'm an hour or so in and the lighting changes, I'm in trouble. That's I don't know. That's a different painting, different pose. The lighting a lot of times is the backbone of the painting, especially if it's, got a lot of light and shadow. So, if that happens, any of those scenarios, I try to get it back to whatever it was at the beginning. Because yeah, that's those are critical changes to the painting. So, that reminds me, when I was learning how to paint, and I go into a lot of these the open workshops, the cheap ways to paint from life. And I was always a real stickler for making sure the model got back into the pose the same way each time. Like we had a nose monitor, so there's 1 or 2 positions in the class where the model's nose lines up with the far side of her cheek, or something like that. And so each time she would get back up there, I would make sure that she was in the same position as she was. And sometimes you'd assign someone to that position, but just depends on the pose. But yeah, that's important. It's an important aspect of painting. You can ask another question.
Okay. How do you know when you've got all you can from a study and you need to move on to the next one, as opposed to digging in and doing maybe fewer but going towards a finish? Hard as a self-taught painter, not having someone take my painting away and tell me to get on with it.
Oh yeah, no, same thing. Yeah, I'm pretty much self-taught. I learned how to draw from Jeff, but painting I learned from the Schmid book, basically. So yeah, it's called discipline, and you kind of got to know when you're burnt out. When you lose your objectivity. And I work with a mirror behind me so I can see my painting in reverse along the way when I'm painting it, so I can get a different view of the image. So yeah, it just it's hard. It's a hard thing to do, but it's discipline, and you kind of got to know when you're burnt out. When you're not seeing things as clear as you did at the beginning. And a lot of times, what I do too is I take pictures along the way. When I'm painting, and sometimes I'll say, well, I should have stopped. At this stage, and then next time I'm doing a similar thing, then I will stop at that stage. And I learn from looking back at the reference that I should have stopped a long time ago. But a lot of times you learn those things by doing them. You know what I mean? No one's gonna help you ever, all the time. It's just sometimes you might get lucky here and there, but you got to be your own critic. You got to be the one who who give yourself criteria as to when something is finished and when you've gotten the most out of it. And you can set up your own list of criteria if you want before the painting's done. Sometimes that helps, but yeah, it's just a discipline thing, and it's hard to do. But a lot of times what I do to do that, besides the things I just said, is I try to work on a few paintings at one time. At least two. I'll have two paintings going at once, so that way I don't get as bored or bogged down on one painting. I can definitely get a little bit more objectivity between the two paintings rather than just focusing on one painting. Generally, too, I like to work on one painting that's a little bit more loose, like the color studies. That's how I've gone about it in general. Just had one painting that's really tight and one painting that's not so much. That seems to work pretty good.
Someone's asking if you're gonna blend.
Yeah. Right now I'm just blocking in. I've already blended, a bunch all in here and everything, but right now I'm just blocking in the large light and darks, and just trying to get that all in there. Once I get it all in there and I'm happy with the temperatures and all that kind of good stuff, then I'll start blending more. But I try to always blend with a color. Okay, so if I have two colors next to each other that need to be softened into each other, generally I'll put a color in between those two colors that's right in between the value of those two colors to blend, rather than just blendy, because it's cleaner. It just looks much cleaner and much prettier in my opinion. Drinking some of this nice Starbucks Drusia.
Sponsored by Starbucks. And Bumble. You want to put your Bumble hat back on?
Oh, yeah.
We're just kidding. It's not actually sponsored by Bumble.
Gotta pay the bills, right? Gotta pay the bills. Yeah. What's the Starbucks logo?
Oh yeah, there you go. What a sellout.
I wish they would give me money. God, it's so watery. This straw is made out of paper, so it's got like, there's a bunch of chocolate at the bottom, but
just put one of your brushes in there and start.
Mix it around. I want the goods. It's just like the straw is just the worst.
I can see how flimsy it is.
Pathetic. Erectile dysfunction straw. Man, it's so disappointing not taste that chocolate. So much chocolate in there. So much.
You want me to go find a straw for you?
No.
No?
I just want to complain about
Sure.
it.
All right.
I'm not almost.
Any thoughts on oils versus acrylics?
Oils are better. Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, acrylics dry up real fast. Oils don't. That's basically the big 101. You know, you can get oils to dry fast and acrylics to dry slow, but in general, I think you can do everything that acrylics do with oils. You know, so that's. I mean, and it's actually sometimes I've started paintings in acrylic. Like I'll have it all drawn out, and I'll do like I draw it out with pencil, and then I'll put the washes down in acrylic, so they dry up real fast, and then I can just go right on top of that with oil. I've done that a few times, especially where there's like complex drawing. You know, like this one painting of my friend Mike that I did. He had a plaid shirt on, and I painted that whole thing.
The guy that looks just like you?
No, that's Chris.
Oh.
Mike he's blonde. He is a rock climber. Well, he's an artist too, but he's a rock climber. So I did a painting of him and his gear, his rock climbing gear. And you know, it's in the archives.
Wait, what was it? What's the name of the painting?
I don't know. If you just type in like my name and then Mike, it might come up. I mean, it's on my Instagram somewhere too, but I couldn't tell you where. But it's got a background of a boatyard.
Captain Mike?
Captain Mike, that's it. Yeah. And there's close-ups of that
Does
one
it
too.
cut off at the bottom of his chest?
Yeah, like right
It
here.
does. Okay.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
got
know.
real tall.
Okay, I found it. Oh, it's... Here it is.
That's it. That's it. Good job, Stan. Yeah, so his shirt, I did it. It's hard to see, but there's a lot of dry brushing in that shirt too, and I had that acrylic undercolor coming through in a lot of the areas. But see, there's a lot of different colors going on there, you know. So I just wanted to dry real fast, so then I could just, you know, go over them in oil. But yeah, that's a good example too of tiling. Like his face is really tiled out.
Yeah.
And if you look real close in his glasses, there's a secret surprise in there. The reflection of his glasses. I'm not gonna say what it is though. I don't want to get demonetized.
What?
I'm just kidding.
Wait, is it really something bad?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay. It looks just like a road with a building on the side.
It's a building. It's
Okay.
two buildings and the sky.
Yeah.
You know. Thanks for ruining the mystery.
You didn't have to admit it.
Well, I wanted to have some kind of a allure.
I like the way you painted the
Sky.
sky, all these little tiles.
Yeah, that's a good example of how my color studies have affected my other paintings, you know, because they have. I started doing the color studies like I don't know how many years ago. 2013 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know, but that I learned color from doing the color studies, and Dan Pinkham was the one who told me to do the color studies. So it's his fault. But he's a great painter. He's a landscape painter. And, just oh my goodness, I can't get this color right. See, right now my problem with this color is that it's too saturated. So I want to desaturate it a little bit, right? So, you know, you could, this color right here, you could just add black to it, like black, right? But that would completely overwhelm that color. So what I'm going to add to it is white with black. Add a little bit of white to the black, blah, 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 right there, and then put that in there. And then that desaturates the color just a little bit, right? And so, yeah, that looks much better. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Muy bueno. So I just want to get some variations of that color. A little bit darker, a little bit warmer, more red. That's one thing that's easy to do. I mean, this palette is so limited, but it's so, you know, there's a lot of power to it. Oh, Stan, did you get the chart? I didn't see
I got all the images. Which one do you want to show?
The chart.
The
color chart.
Color chart. Let's see.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Color chart.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Oh, I think it was in the original email that you sent with the thumbnails. Let me see if I can grab it. It was. It's a Zorn palette chart, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I'll pull it up in a second here.
Okay. Yeah, that just shows some of the possibilities of the palette. It's like a little cross section of the palette. It's a good thing to do. I have some videos online doing it. You can see, and that blog post I was telling you about, that's on my website. With the new additions to the palette is on there too, and it's the same thing. It's just different colors. So you can look at it there.
Okay, here comes the chart. Boop.
All right, there it is, and it's labeled, so you can see at the top. So basically it's just every color mixed with each of the colors, and 3 at a time. So black being dominant, black mixed with red, black mixed with yellow ochre, and then opened up. So look at all those beautiful colors, tons of beautiful colors. So the first one is black, and the next one is red, just black with white alone, and then the 2 colors, and then red with white alone, and then the 2 mixes, and then yellow, and then the 2 mixes. And then the last 2 columns right there are just all 3 colors and just different percentages, just to kind of finish off the chart in terms of I had extra space. So, but you can see, that's a pretty nice variety of color there. You don't need...
yeah, that's kind of crazy, actually, how that's just... yellow and red.
It's just 3 colors, yeah.
And black. That's an ivory black you have in this one?
Yeah.
Because it does have a bluish tint. It's not...
Yeah.
Maybe it's just on the screen here.
No, it's pretty blue. Well, I don't know what your screen is, but...
I'm going to see what you're able to see.
Oh,
yeah, yours is even bluer.
Oh, it is. But, that versus Mars black is a big difference. A lot of Russian painters in particular use Mars black, and the reason why is because it dries up real fast. So you can paint on top of it. That's one thing that I was surprised at. I saw this one Phasian painting at an auction, and it was like a little Native American girl in a black robe, right, holding a Kachina doll, and the black robe was black, right? It was just dark black silhouette shape. And it was painted super thick, super thick, just, as much paint as you could put on there pretty much. And that's kind of like the opposite of, 101 19th century European painting where, you want your darks thin so they don't, reflect light and look lighter than they are, right? But he had thin areas around that, thick black that were thin. So he just, still maximized his thick and thins, but just kind of went the opposite of what, I would normally do. So it doesn't matter what you do exactly. It just matters that you get the variety that you're looking for. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because the variety is the most important thing.
That's hilarious. Someone just said that there's a face on your palette right now.
Oh, really?
It's a profile in the dark shape looking to the left. Do you see it? It's a profile face. I'll show you. Brow ridge. Kind of looks like Jeff Watts, actually. You don't see it?
It's a
Brow ridge, nose.
Oh!
And there's an eye, even. That's hilarious. Let's show them. Is that the eye?
Yeah.
It totally looks like Jeff Watts.
It does.
Holy crap.
He's haunting us. And look at this. X-ray eyes.
Is that a crypto thing or is it Superman?
It's a Jeff thing.
What do you? It's a Jeff thing.
I don't know. But yeah, good call on that.
Yeah. Man, that's great likeness, Aaron.
Yeah,
good job.
I mean, it's effortless. Effortless. But what was that other thing I was going to talk about? Oh, the sergeant.
Sergeant, you want to do that?
Okay, yeah, let's do that. Okay, so.
Okay, wait. Let me pull it up. Go
Okay,
ahead and-
I'll set it up though. I'll set it up, so
Okay.
it's okay.
Got it.
But the a lot of people, think Sargent's a really good painter. They're like, hey, he's pretty good, And so it's like, well, what makes Sargent a good painter? And a lot of things: his drawing, his color, his composition. But in his, figure painting, or you can call it figure painting, you can call it people painting, his portraits. One of the things he does the best is he economizes values. He groups his values together better than almost everybody. And you saw it a little bit on the Madame X painting, but I'm going to show you it. Oh yeah, don't show that one yet. Show the first one.
It's already shown.
Well, just zoom in or just show the color one. Yeah.
There.
Okay. So you see this picture here? The light side of his face, the area that we see most dominantly, there's the forehead, the cheekbone, that whole area on the side of the face where there's not a lot of plane changes, but there are plane changes. The cheekbone is, facing up more than the side of his face, and then underneath his jaw is facing kind of the most away from us of any of those planes. But if you look close, you'll see, the color changes. Okay. That one's richer. This one's richer than the one on the other side for some reason.
No, it's exactly the same. You're just seeing it at a different angle.
Mm-hmm.
The TV sucks.
Okay. But you see, like around his eye, it's kind of that yellowish, kind of cool yellow, and then it goes to kind of an orange as you go down, kind of red, and then orange, and then it goes to that green color underneath his jaw. So all of that is almost exactly the same value. There's hardly any difference in value in that at all. It's just color changes. So he's changing the color of the planes instead of changing the value, right? So if you make it black and white,
Okay.
you can see that the values are almost identical, on that side of the face,
Here, I'll zoom into the black and white one for a second.
Yeah, see, I mean, look, it's just, hardly any value change on the black and white one at all. Yet, in color, it doesn't look flat at all. Like this one kind of looks flat in black and white, kind of, the tiling helps, but there's very few value changes, and that one's magnificent. So you can see, there's like 4 different color changes on the side of his face right there. That yellow, the red, the orange, to the green. And Sargent does that all the time, all the time. And what it does is it holds the drawing or the structure together more. It doesn't chop it up into a bunch of different values. And that is the downfall of most portrait painters. Too many values. They're trying to be real tricky. put a bunch of values in there, and it doesn't work. It doesn't necessarily make the painting look any better at all. It just makes it look like there's more stuff in there, So Sargent was really good at doing that always, always just being really elegant with whatever he's drawing, and just really sacrificing values for color, and the well, my art history is good. It's not great. It's better than Stan's. But one of the first people to ever do that was Velázquez. Velázquez and Franz Hals, they did that. And beyond them, I don't really know too many other painters who, use color to transition or to group values. It's hard to see anyone before those guys. So,
someone asked, what do you mean by values?
Values, the lightness or darkness of a color or a shape.
Light to dark.
Yes.
White to black.
White to black.
All the different shades of gray, but then you can apply color to that as well.
Right.
There can be a dark yellow, a light yellow.
Yes. Yes.
And
the most important aspect of a painting are its values. And, then you put color on top.
Would you say value is more important than shape?
I don't know if can you have one without the other?
Well, you could mess one up. You could
okay.
saying like one, the shapes are really bad and just,
if the shapes are really bad but the values are good,
yeah,
that's okay.
Really?
Yeah, sure.
So you say value is still more important than shape?
Well, think about like I mentioned Eugene Carrier before.
Mm-hmm.
His paintings look real dreamy and kind of soft, right?
Yeah.
But the values are right.
But the shapes, if they're not correct to the photo, that doesn't matter. I'm saying they might just be ugly shapes, bad shapes.
Yeah. Well, then
because you could change the photo of the shapes from the photo and it still looks amazing. It could look better.
Oh yeah, for sure. Right. But I mean, so I don't know what they're trying to say exactly, like in a bad way. Or...
Well, no, they just asked what are values. I was the one that bring them.
Okay. Well,
that was my question.
It depends on.
I was just challenging it because you said value is the most important.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to break that down a little bit more, I would say your drawing is probably more important than value. If you got the eye in the wrong spot, it doesn't matter how good the values are, it's like the eye's in the wrong spot. So, drawing number one. But as far as color, a lot of people just stress out about color. And if you think about it more as values first, sometimes that, just gets rid of that pressure, because you're more worried about the value, getting the values right. And then you can adjust the temperature or the color, later. But so that's how I'm using it. Just to get rid of the kind of sometimes people have a scary attitude towards color. Just find it complicated. In general, skin tones are pretty muted. There's not a lot of saturation in them. So, it's, if you keep your and I'm using a lot of saturation now, but if you keep your colors fairly muted, you can do a lot.
By the way, we're a little over 2 hours in.
Oh, we're over 2 hours?
Yeah.
Shit, dude. 2:05. Oh, can I say 5?
You can say 5.
Oh, okay. Jeez. So frustrating. Okay. Okay. Let's just go more. Let me try to just block in her face and get that done. I think that's gonna be the song.
I know when you're answering questions, it just like zooms by.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you're judging time based on how finished your painting is.
Yeah.
Right? Because usually you go at the same speed, and now you're like way more behind.
Yeah. And I'm being like
feel.
cavalier with my answer, and I'm like, oh well, let me give that a lot of thought.
Yeah, I'll pause the questions, and you can just paint and talk about the painting, so that your mind is in one place.
Okay. Yeah, whatever. I'm just yeah.
I'm just not gonna think.
Yeah, well, I mean, that surprised me. I mean, I have a clock right here on my iPad. I didn't even look at it. You know, I have the time.
No, I mean, we're good. You can keep painting.
My iPad came with a clock.
Really?
Yeah.
Does it work?
Yeah. I mean, it says it's 2:06. Is that what yours says?
Yeah, 2:05:39.
Okay, well, mine's trash then.
Yours is not working.
God, I can't believe it's too long. Who's your favorite painter, Stan?
It's fishing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mention him so often. He can't possibly not be my favorite.
He's pretty good.
I don't know why. Because I don't paint anything like him. You know,
It's okay. You know, I think, you know, and you know, I'm fairly I've seen a lot of paintings and drawings, but I think Facian's drawings are the best. You know what I mean? Like as far as drawings, I think his are the best.
Yeah.
You know, just like you win. You know,
you win.
You said the most in the most elegant way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You win. You know, his paintings are really good too, but I just think like clearly his drawings are unique. You know, he painted in the manner or drew in the manner of Holbein. You know, they're very Holbein-ish. I shouldn't even say that. It's so gross saying that ish.
Wow. You got a thing against itch.
I'm like a
You like kinda?
well, I don't know. It's just slang. I don't know, speak to. Anyway, I think his drawings are gorgeous. His drawings are some of the best I've ever seen, and I want one. But
They're getting expensive now, I think. Like they're getting more and more popular constantly.
should have been more expensive a long time ago.
And it's hard. It's like fewer even for sale.
Mm-hmm. He did more than you think too. You know, he did a lot. I saw you have a few Max Turners.
I do. I have like 15 Max Turners.
I do too.
And I bought them for so cheap.
Yeah, I do too.
They were like $20 each for originals.
I'm
Like,
telling you.
Oh my god.
I was in class with him, like those workshops. He was always in the workshop.
That's where I got it too.
Well, but he would give me paintings.
Oh, come on.
I'd be like, oh, Max, that's really good. He's like, here you go. You know, you just give him a compliment and he gives you the painting. You know, so you got to know when to compliment him. But yeah, I have a lot of his work. He's a great artist in general.
Yeah, here we go. Let's show. I got like 3 right here.
Me to hold him
Yeah, put it close.
like this.
Yeah, it's a little blurry if you, but yeah, that's good enough. So there's a.
Yeah. It looks kind of distorted in the photo.
It is. You turn it a little towards the left.
Let me see if I can.
Yeah, that's good.
But he did similar. I mean, they're very in the manner of Facian, and they're on rice paper. And the thing with rice paper is you cannot erase. This
If
one's
you
on
turn it
regular
that
paper.
way.
Which way? This way?
The camera's right there.
Yeah.
See? There's the camera.
Yeah, it's good.
It's blurry if you bring it too close. It's focused on your painting.
Yeah. See, I'll tell you some tricks. Want me to remove the veil a little bit on these?
Okay.
So you see how?
Oh, that's the same one.
Here's another one. Yeah. You see how he has this real textural stuff right there? See that, like right there in particular? You know what he would do to get that? Like, see how that's totally different than here?
Yeah.
Do you know why it's only right there?
He puts stuff underneath.
Oh.
Yeah, I was in his workshop.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know. Yeah, but he was great. He was great. Great sculptor also.
I forgot what he put underneath though. What was it?
Just like a gessoed panel.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
You know, nothing too fancy. But yeah, he's a cool guy too. He used to always give us a hard time in class.
How's he doing?
Oh, he passed away
He
like
did?
2 years ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
So
Awkward.
he's sleeping quietly.
Was it peaceful?
I
didn't hear about it.
I forgot exactly how he passed away.
Okay.
I don't remember. I mean, I didn't go to his funeral. They had a wake for him. And I went to that, but I don't remember how he passed away.
Yeah.
He like a while ago, he got cancer and beat it.
Oh, wow.
You know, so because he was a sculptor for a long time, and so there's a lot of chemicals that you use when you're sculpting that are super toxic. Just like really bad for you. So I thought he got cancer from those chemicals or whatever, and he might have, I don't know, but he he painted for the last portion of his life. There's actually a documentary on him on YouTube. Have you seen that?
No.
Oh, it's great. It's Norm Nason made it, and it's great. You should definitely watch it. I think it's maybe 15-20 minutes long.
Well, he lived really long. I mean,
Yeah.
He was in his 90s, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, the chemicals didn't affect his life.
Not too
Span.
much. Yeah, not as much as I thought they would. But yeah, it's funny, he'd always come around to us and be like, "What do you got all those colors on your palette for? You're not going to use half of them." He's great. He was great.
I took his drawing workshop. I don't know how he paints.
At the where'd you take it at? The California Art Institute?
No, he came to the WAS.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yep.
Yeah, he was just like an institution, he was always in the open workshops, at the school, just always there. And I just I really like seeing him.
Okay, let's do another question. I'll look for one while you focus. Look for a good one. This is interesting. I assume that I can use Zorn with gouache. Is it a good idea to use Zorn with watercolor? Is it a good idea to use Zorn with pastel? Or even colored pencils?
Of course. Of course. In fact, Zorn did watercolor before he did oil painting. And there's several examples of his watercolors. Maybe you can show this gentleman the watercolor of the girls doing their hair in the kimonos. Do you know that one? It's one of the thing in the thing.
The thing in the thing?
Uh-huh.
Let me see. The girl... Wait, which one?
The two girls, one's behind the other one doing her hair. It's red and yellow and white. You find it?
Oh, there's tiny. Yeah. This one.
Yeah, look at that. Watercolor. Gorgeous.
Oh, that's a watercolor?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's actually lighter than that. That's a little bit heavy. The hair isn't like so black like that. It's
Right.
lighter. But I mean, gorgeous. Look at the variety of yellows but look at the pillows. One's like blue, basically black and white, and one's got a little purple in it. But I think this picture's a little bit juiced,
Yeah, someone put some contrast on it.
Yeah, a little contrast and a little saturation. But I mean, As for the focal point, I mean, she's got like a red circle around her head almost. I mean, it's like a triangle of red. It's just there's no question what Zorn wanted you to look at. Like look at her face. Don't look at this girl's face. Look at this girl's face, and it's just like surrounding it with a red circle almost. Just like can't you can't deny what the focal point is, and it's done in a way that's it's not. I mean, I don't think it's ugly. I think it's nice, but you know, it's really obvious on that one. I mean, a lot of his are honestly, but it doesn't bother me ever. Like in almost every single one of his, he does a lot of outdoor figurative paintings, and almost all of them, like he'll have a nude girl outside in the forest, and almost all of them, the girl will have like a little bit of red that's really sharp, like either her ear, her nose, or a ribbon in her hair, or something like that. It's just he's never, not never, but almost always he's really explaining, hey, look here, and just being really deliberate with where he wants you to look and where the eye moves. There's a couple movies about him actually, about Zorn.
Really?
Uh-huh. They're in different languages.
Like documentaries or movies?
No, like actors and everything.
What?
Yeah, yeah.
Are they good?
Well, it's like the movies are like this. Zorn has a wife, right? But he likes to paint the naked ladies all the time, and so it's kind of like, don't bother me, I'm painting the naked ladies, and some other stuff, So that's it's almost like Benny Hill or something, This one in particular movie, yeah, and that one is kind of rare. It's hard to find that one, but I mean, probably now you can find it better. I don't know. I'm from the old school where we had to go and look for books in bookstores, and finding Loomis book
Oh,
like in print was
You're so old.
oh, I know. Old school. Couldn't use Amazon.
So what about pastels though? Have you ever used pastels?
Oh yeah.
Because can you just use two, yellow, red, and white? Why? Like,
Well, yeah. I
'cause
mean, the
convenience
difference
colors
is,
are-
well, in pastel, the value spread. You can't just,
Right.
push lighter.
Right.
Like in charcoal, you have to have a few different reds or a few different blacks.
Right.
So
So it's a little different. You can't
it's
just
different. It's different, but for sure. You know who did a bunch of really good pastels?
Morgan Weisling.
No. Well, maybe, but
Who else?
that's not a lot. Is William Merritt Chase.
Oh.
Type in William Merritt Chase, and if you want, and pastel, and you'll see a bunch of. He did this one really good one where the girl's kind of leaning. She's in a kimono. It's from the back, and she's kind of leaning on her arm. But those are all real limited and very, very 19th century kind of. In 19th century, I mean, also, Chase and all those guys, Whistler, were very influenced by those Japanese prints. So they're very.
Wait, is it like a lady in a green dress in a chair, yellow background?
Well, that's one of them, but the one I'm talking about is from the back. That sounds like a portrait one.
Yeah. It's from the back.
Yeah.
And she's
It-
what?
She's
Looking in the mirror?
Huh?
Looking in the mirror?
No, that's a good one too. But no, she's leaning on her hand, and it's just it's like chopped. It's like a half figure.
Okay, well, I think this is it, but I don't know if she's looking in the mirror or not.
He did a bunch. He was a member of. He had to own.
This one?
No, that's not it. That's an oil painting anyway.
Oh.
But he started the Pastel Society or something like that. There was a separate society for pastel painters.
Wait, you sure that was an oil? That looked like a pastel. That like.
It looked like oil to me, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
Okay.
It looked like watercolor almost. But
I think if you saw the details in there,
maybe.
here, I'll show you again. All right, I'm gonna zoom into this. Look at.
Come
Come on. That's pastel.
Not necessarily.
Really?
Back up again.
Man,
Yeah, maybe it might be just a bad reproduction of a pastel. Yeah, on a mirror it looks like pastel. Um, yeah, that's probably pastel.
whoa, whoa! I figured out how to rotate.
Yeah,
Finally,
all
I
right.
wanted to do that.
Um,
All right.
party time. Um, but he did like type in this. Type in William Merritt Chase pastel and kimono. I bet you that'll do it.
What?
No?
Wait, what's going on? Is it? Wait. No, it's not coming up.
Okay. Well, he did a bunch of nudes in pastel, also like reclining nudes, laying down nudes, that are super tight. You know, like really tight. Um, so you can look at those for pastels. Whistler did a bunch of pastels, you know, and watercolors too.
I mean, I'm finding more of his pastels, but I don't know if it's the one you're looking for.
Yeah, it's all right. Chase did a lot of self-portraits also. They're really good.
This one? I know it's not probably the one.
Yeah, I don't like that one too much. I've seen that one in person. It's okay. That's cropped in too.
Hmm.
There's a lot of open space on that one as far as the composition. But the but yeah, the thing with pastels is it's a very toxic medium. Do you know what I mean by that?
Pastelas?
Mm-hmm.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's really toxic.
Huh.
Because I mean, the pastel stick is all color, right? So imagine you're, using red, and you're coloring it, and it's a lot of the paper that you use is like sandpaper, right? It's really tough, and it's you're that pastel is coming off and getting in the air, as you're making a mark with it. So you're inhaling it a little bit, right? The pastel color,
Yeah.
but also you're touching it, right? So that
Yeah,
is going into your
constantly.
skin.
It's getting in your fingernail, under your fingernails all the time.
Well, yeah, just in your skin, just on your hand, unless
Yeah.
you're wearing gloves, because it's like holding
Yeah,
a worm of
wear
color.
gloves, I guess.
Yeah, wear gloves and don't breathe, and you'll be good.
Don't forget.
Some people have like a vacuum on the bottom of their piece of paper, so all the dust gets sucked up into the vacuum.
Nice.
But
Wear a mask.
yeah, wear a mask. Take shallow breaths. I don't know. I'm just not too much of a fan of pastels because it's so toxic. It's fine though. I don't know. Whatever.
Hey, we got a donation in the YouTube chat. Monica donated 6,000 Colombian pesos.
Really?
Yeah.
Is she part of the OnlyFans? I didn't know you had to sponsor that.
No, that's about $1.50
Oh.
USD.
Oh.
Thank you, Monica.
There's something else I want
I
to
know. I saw that. I was like, "What? 6,000? Like what?"
Can they do that in the thing? Can they pay? Like when, some people have like super questions.
Yeah,
I've seen
that's what it was. This was in the YouTube. No, they can't. We can't do that on Proko yet.
Oh.
But this was on YouTube. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Another question. Would you recommend the Zorn palette for still life, or does it mostly shine in portraits?
It's mostly portraits. This one of the things with still lifes is it doesn't move, and it's there forever. So it's a chance to really kind of push yourself with color and drawing and everything. So I would not use this Zorn palette for still lifes.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's mostly for skin. I mean, that
Yeah.
shades of brown.
Mhm.
So if you're doing a still life, I mean, if you're doing something that's shades of brown.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or but it's red and yellow and green and a really muted, purple or black. So anything that falls into those categories, it works. Like I don't know if you want, maybe pull up that landscape that Zorn did of the cityscape where it's a rainy cityscape.
Is it one of the ones you sent?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's a girl outside and it's like a sign kind of behind her, but
Hold on. Not that one, right?
no, that's Sergeant.
A girl outside.
Let me see.
This one?
Yeah. See, so that's gorgeous, So
Yeah.
you can do plein air paintings if it's raining, with the Zorn palette.
Yeah.
But it's limited.
Yeah, he has green in there though, for sure. I can see the wagon in the background's got blue and green in it, but it is still very limited.
Yeah, for sure. It's weird that blue sign is so accentuated.
He might not even have red in this one, actually.
Yeah. Well, there's a little bit of red above the horse. See the horse?
That looks like orange. Oh, it's different. Oh man, this is totally different on the two monitors I'm seeing.
Mm.
On one, it looks very kind of yellowish orange, and another one, it's more of a reddish orange. But whatever.
Yeah.
Cool.
Generally, most of the paintings that you see in books are overly saturated. When you see them in person, they're much less saturated. And publishers try to just juice up the paintings so, they can sell books. And happens all the time. Here's a story. There was a Sergeant and Soroya show that I saw a long time ago. And I saw, the Sergeant painting Lady Agnew?
Yeah.
It's one of the most famous ones because he scraped it off and repainted it like a bunch of times. I saw that painting next to a painting that he did of his sister, Violet. And the painting he did of his sister was way better. It was shocking. I was very, very, very surprised at how good the painting of his sister was. And from looking at it in photos, you don't get it at all. But in person, so good, so subtle, so powerful. Yeah, that's Lady Agnew. And yeah, that's actually a pretty good reproduction right there because, well, the one I'm looking at on this monitor, there's not as much contrast as you think. The background's pretty light. It's not, you see it in books and they really push that contrast. But it really looks a lot like this. In fact, the background kind of looks chalky, right? So the painting of his sister is just, painting of Violet Sargent, and she's like, I think she's holding a rose or something, but she has this little smirk and she has this little bit of light hitting her far cheek, and it is just so well done, and the drawing is so good and elegant. And it doesn't come across in any photo that I've ever seen of that painting. Because I went back and looked it up, and I'm like, it doesn't even look close, to how I saw it in person. Not even close. And I was just surprised. Really surprised. So you never know. You got to look at things in person, always, to learn. That's one thing about pastels that is actually good. Generally, you can kind of sneak those into museums and study from the paintings with the pastels. You can kind of hold the pastels, just do little studies like this, and no one will know or care. You can't really bring oils or watercolors or anything like that in a museum unless you get permission. But pastels, they're good. Get a nice little set. Rembrandt actually has some really nice pastels. I think they're there's another company that I forget. But there's a company that it's under the umbrella of Rembrandt that makes pastels. I can't remember their name. I totally forget. Do you know? Do you know the name?
I think.
But they're kind of known for making good pastels.
Well, no, this is Rembrandt.
Yeah.
uh,
Are those pastels right there? That box?
no, I don't think so. I don't think I have pastels.
You should get some pastels.
These are watercolor. Never mind.
But yeah, Rembrandt is Royal Talons. That's kind of like their big entity, and you know, they make all kinds of different paint and pastels and mediums and everything. They make oil or water-based oil paints too, called Cobra. Do you know about those?
I've never tried them, but I think I heard them about a few times.
Yeah, they've gotten a lot better over the years. They were kind of cruddy, but now they're good. But most schools they don't even allow you to paint in oil anymore in the classrooms. So it's either water-based oils or they just don't want any solvents in the class.
Do you still do daily gesture drawing sketches, portrait sketches to warm up, or to keep the eye in shape? I mean, is it something I need to keep doing every day forever?
Well, I mean, I don't really do things to warm up ever. You know.
Did you ever before?
No.
No.
I mean, I do color studies, you know, and those, you know, keep my eye in tune as far as color. You know what I mean? But I usually do those at the end of the night. I don't do them, you know, to get warmed up before I do a painting. It's a lot like being a musician, you know, being a painter, where you know, I want to practice my chops, but I want to do it in a way that's interesting. I just don't want to, you know, practice my scales by playing the scales over and over again. I want to, you know, put them into a song or something like that, you know. Yeah. So it could be the same thing as maybe a better metaphor is like staying in shape. A lot of times it's easier to stay in shape by, you know, playing a sport, you know, or doing martial arts or something like that, rather than just going to the gym and working out, which can be boring, right? So if you find a sport that you like, it's a lot easier to maintain fitness, you know, because it's challenging and all, you know, all that kind of stuff. But I don't ever want to look at painting as a hassle, you know, or something that I have to maintain. You know, I mean, it's true a little bit though, but you know, it's the more you practice something, the better you'll get at it, whatever it is. So oil painting, or, you know, I used to go paint the boatyard by where I used to live. You know, that was fun. But I, you know, didn't do it all the time. But it's just nice to get outside and, you know, paint some cool, gritty boats.
I think it depends on like where you are, you know, what you're trying to do. Is it like you, for example, you started doing these color studies, and when you started doing the color studies, were you doing them for the gallery, or did you do them because you wanted to practice doing color? Right. So
yeah.
They started with color studies, and now they've become a thing that you actually sell in galleries.
Yeah. Well, I don't really sell them in galleries.
Oh, you don't?
Mm-mm.
But you sell them somewhere because most of them are sold.
Just Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
So I never did those to sell them. You know, I can't really tell the story of why I started making them public, but there's a reason.
yeah. But you started doing them to practice color. They're exercises.
The only reason I did them is because Dan Pinkham told me to do them.
Yeah.
And he's really good at color, so I believed him, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I didn't know color, and so I wanted to learn color. And you know, it's a painful way to learn color. Very painful. Very, very, very painful.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I've never seen anyone else do a color study the way I do them. Never, you know. Never seen Dan do one. Um, Never seen him paint before, you know. So.
You've never seen Dan paint before?
Nope.
What?
Yeah.
You never took his workshop?
No.
Oh,
No.
wow.
The only time was the time that you were there.
Okay.
That mentor day, and he did paint on Leonardo's painting. Lenny, that one guy.
Yeah.
His painting, because I remember at the end of it, he's like, "I got a Dan Pinkham painting." 'Cause, I mean, his painting is pretty much Dan's painting. But yeah, I've never seen him paint. Um, and I've been at a couple paint outs with him with the California Art Club, and he didn't paint. You know,
What did he do?
he went around and talked to people, and just said, "Look at the colors there, look at that," and just didn't paint. I don't know. People will probably bother him anyway, you know.
Yeah, everybody would just probably huddle up around him and watch.
Yeah, exactly. So he one thing that he did do is he took a bunch of time off and just traveled around the world painting. You know, he went to Europe and everything. His wife used to be a flight attendant, so he got good deals on travel, and took advantage of that. And you know, but yeah, it's a weird thing. It's very frustrating, you know, because I would see him like once or maybe twice a year, you know, and I'd bring him the color studies, and he'd say, "More of this, less of that," and I would go, "Okay, Dan, who is good at doing color studies?" And he'd be like, "I don't know." He could never tell me anybody that was good, really. Like even like a figure painter. I think he's told me a few figure painters are good, you know, like color wise, you know. He never said sergeant, you know, he never said sergeant or anybody that I think he would say like Thayer. Thayer was good at color, you know. You know who Thayer is?
No.
You know who Thayer is?
No.
Thayer.
Let me look
He's
him
one of
up.
the best painters in history.
Thayer.
Yeah, Abbott Thayer.
Okay.
You have to know who he is. I forgot I was gonna do a distinct color.
Well, yeah, so, some of these paintings are somewhat familiar. But no, I've never actually like
A few artists
studied.
copy him almost exactly right now by putting wings on their
Yeah.
paintings.
Well, was he the first to do that? I mean,
Thayer?
no, he wasn't the first to put wings on.
No, but he did it like a lot.
Yeah.
And he did it with his family.
Oh, okay. Just family members.
But I mean, huh?
Like family members that are alive. He did
Well, they
that?
were when he did them. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
well.
weren't like death portraits.
I don't know. I thought maybe like a family member dies and he's like, oh,
No, I mean he did it to like
person became an angel.
no,
I don't know.
no.
But I got some Pinkham images on the screen here.
Oh, cool.
Switch. Just so people.
That's good.
So there's the.
Yeah, that's right outside of his house.
Yeah.
That's the Portuguese bed. That's Abalone Cove.
Yeah.
And that looks tiny.
There's another one.
Yeah, that one's big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the colors in the sky, and like the sun is like there's a yellowish, there's a violet, there's a blue right in there, that one little circle.
Yeah. That's the
Pretty
thing. He uses color different than anybody else. You know, like if you can find like a snow scene, the snow will be like violent, or not violent, but like violet, purple, green, blue, you know, just like colors you would never think that would work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but yeah, look at that's a lot of color.
Yeah.
You know?
Pretty cool.
Yeah, that one's good. And with him, he like that's a big painting. It's really big. It's like I don't know, 32 by 36 or something like that. But all of those are done from small studies. He doesn't use photography ever at all. They're all copies of paintings that he did live. And you know, he could have done that painting 15, 20 years ago. And then he blows up. He shows up the Autry every year, you know, at the Masters of the West show. So if you want to see his paintings in person, in like February, I think the show is. You go to see that show?
I used to every year, but I haven't for a while. But yeah,
He
Masters
shows,
of the West.
yeah, shows there and shows at the, the Free to West also in Wyoming. But yeah, he's really, really good. He thinks differently than other people. He's just very different. So,
We are 2.5 hours in.
oh, okay. Well, let me. Okay. I'll wrap it up, I guess. Okay. Well, I'll
So
just.
much pressure.
I know. I just.
You're like rebooting or something.
I know. No, it's fine. It's fine. I just. I mean, actually, I did this painting last night. So.
You did a practice painting?
Yeah, and it went way faster.
Of course it went way faster.
Not of course. I didn't know. I thought.
When the camera turns on.
Well,
everything-
the questions, I think.
But even with the camera, because I told you, right? I went to film Morgan Weisling last month, and he did a similar thing where he he's probably watching. Actually, he watches a lot of the streams, and if he knows you're on today, he's probably watching. But
Morgan watches movies while he paints, like full movies.
Yeah,
a lot.
And they're amazing. He paints in Procreate now while he's watching TV.
Oh, really? Oh, when he's not painting?
Have you seen his Procreate paintings?
Yeah.
Amazing. They look like his regular paintings.
Right, and he usually writes, I did this painting, but it's useless because I don't have it to sell.
It's useless, yeah.
Yeah. No, he's a great painter. He shows at the Autry also.
Yeah. But I was filming him last month, and he did a practice painting the night before. It took him 45 minutes. And then when we came, everything just went out the window, and we arrived there at 10 a.m. and I didn't get back home to San Diego until like 5 a.m. the next morning because the whole process just took so long. He did a charcoal drawing before that took like 2.5 hours. Then he started over, and then I don't think he started the final painting until it was like 7 p.m.
So you guys are gonna have that coming out as a
yeah, we're gonna edit it, make it awesome.
So it's a portrait, or what kind of a painting is it?
We haven't revealed it.
Oh, okay. I think I know what you.
It's right there. You can see it, but I know, but don't talk about it. We haven't.
It's a man about town.
What?
Okay. Well, let me just. I don't want to keep everyone's time. If I had more time, I would just be continuing to tile and refine the pattern of light and dark on her face. You can kind of see where I was going with, with everything. And a lot of things you can see that I don't blend, at all until, at the end, basically. And again, I like to blend by using a color to, integrate two strokes together. So like, this part of the eye right there, as the eye touches the light of the cheek, I put an intermediate color in between those two values, that dark and the light, to bridge the gap rather than just blending the two together. A lot of times, I'm surprised someone didn't ask this question, but a lot of times when you, blend a really dark color into a really light color, what do you get?
Medium color? Mud.
Chalky, yeah. Usually chalky color. So one of the biggest things that I tell people in my classes is how to, integrate, soften an edge without actually, softening an edge. So like a lot of times, this is the last thing I'll say, but say you have a painting like this, the girl has dark hair and there's a light background, or even if it was a dark background, but I wanted to, make the hair blend into the background, right? I wouldn't blend the dark hair into the background, I would use an intermediate color to soften that transition. So, like you can see right here in the corner, I would use a color like this, right, to blend it into the background. Can you see that all right?
A little bit.
Oh, I'll make it lighter just for the camera. But so here's the deal. So, okay, so you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so because the value is kind of dark already, it already kind of blends in with the hair color, right? I don't really need to soften that. But if I did, then I would soften it, like that. Oh, geez, that's too dark. I would soften it like this, right? So it's using a color into that color. But if I wanted to pretend this background color had paint on it, I would never touch this color with this color. This color would only be mixed into this intermediate color. So the actual hair would never touch the background. It would only touch the intermediate color, right? So why? So it wouldn't get chalky. That's the number one reason. When you add a really light color to a really dark color, it turns into chalk. So, that's how I would do it. And, oh man, I didn't get to do any of the fun stuff I had planned here.
What was the fun stuff?
Q-tip stuff.
Q-tip stuff?
Yeah, a lot of times I'll pick out shapes with the Q-tips and make interesting design calligraphy with the Q-tips.
Yeah. There's also like a crap load of questions still. we went.
Oh really?
We ran out of time.
Well, sorry.
But it was a good stream. Lots of good stuff.
You can. I don't know.
Very informative.
Okay, that's good. I like that. And we got a little sneak peek of what you got under the hood.
What? What? What did I show?
The Morgan Weisling video coming up.
Well, they didn't really get any sneak peek. I mentioned it.
You told them about it.
I mentioned it before.
You told them about it. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah. It's true.
He's one of the best painters in the country.
Yeah.
Easy.
He is.
And so that's cool. And then there's my video, right? Which is wow.
Ooh, someone's asking, what was Jeff Watts' reaction when you told him that you were learning to paint from a book? I don't know. You probably didn't tell him, right? You weren't.
I didn't tell him
anymore.
Well, but here's the deal. When I was taking classes with Jeff, well, okay. First of all, it's a Schmid book. It's the Schmid book.
He loves the Schmid book too.
Yeah, the Schmid. Who else that good has ever written a book?
Nobody.
Sargent, no. Nobody.
So. Well, on painting.
Yeah.
On painting, yeah, nobody.
Right. I mean, there's what's his face? The guy with two first names. Solomon J. Solomon. His book on painting.
Wait, he has a how-to book?
There's a book on his painting techniques. Yeah.
Did he write it?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
No.
James Gurney brought it back in print.
Really?
Oh, you're like 10 years behind on this one.
Jesus.
It's kind of antiquated though in terms of the language is difficult to understand because it's back in the day terms. But yeah.
Oh yeah, the practice of oil painting and drawing.
There you go. It's a small paperback book that James Gurney was responsible for reprinting, and it was super rare.
Yeah,
super rare.
One of the
isn't he your friends? He didn't even tell you.
Well,
didn't even tell you.
This is 2012, dude. This is before
No.
I started my YouTube channel in 2012, so I didn't even know James back then.
Is that when the book came out? 2012.
Yeah, 2012.
It's a good book, but I mean, like one of the things he has in there, like he uses bread. What was it for? Yeah, like bread. And you're like, what kind of bread would you use on a painting? I forget why he used it, but
he probably didn't have Q-tips.
Probably didn't.
So he used bread. He probably, if you roll up some bread, you could probably use it like a Q-tip.
It was something about varnishing or something.
Really?
Yeah, it was something weird.
Ah, jeez.
But it's not dense. It's not like it's just hard to understand some of the things because of the language. But there you go. Solomon J. Solomon, The Practice of Oil Painting, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oil painting and drawing.
Yeah. It's
Do you have the hardcover or paperback?
I just have the little paperback.
Okay.
I don't know. Is there a hardcover?
Yeah, but it looks like the cover is just like this black cover with white text.
That might be the original.
Oh, you're probably right because it doesn't have James Gurney on it.
Yeah.
Ah.
So, but up until 2012, that book was like impossible to find. You know, it's just like rumor. It's like Solomon and show people who Solomon J. Solomon is.
Okay.
Solomon J.
Which
Solomon.
painting do you want me to show? Solomon J.
Like any of the 4 that come up. You know, there's usually only like 4 that come up. Not the one where the guy's holding a girl.
I'll do my favorite one.
Okay.
Gotta get it.
I'm interested to see what's your favorite one.
Come on. I'm pretty sure you know.
I would think the one he's
Why
holding
is
the
it
girl.
not opening?
The one he's holding the girl is probably your favorite one. But Solomon J. Solomon
Not the one.
did not work directly. He did not do Alla Prima. He did not like Alla Prima. I should know. You and Jeff.
Of course, it's that one.
But that's just one of the greatest paintings ever.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what's bad about this painting? You know, nothing.
Whenever I start thinking about composition,
Yeah,
I'm just like going back and just trying to like absorb something from here.
yeah. This is Samson and Delilah, and it's just she tricked him. I'm not even gonna talk about it. But anyway, it's one of the greatest paintings ever.
Yeah.
Greatest paintings ever.
So he wrote a book on how to draw and paint,
He did.
and I can't believe I don't know about it.
Yeah, you
Okay,
did
I'm
know.
gonna. I already ordered it.
So
just
would
now.
you say that would you say that Aaron Westerberg is like full of good information?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. Well,
And you know what? They could go to
Proko.com
right here, this-
/Westerberg.
right here. Proko.com/Westerberg. Use code Westerberg20. Save 20% off. Say thank you to Aaron for coming and doing this free live stream for you by getting his masterpiece demo.
Yeah, trying to do something but failing. But yeah, that's another person who has a really good book. But when I was learning how to paint, it wasn't out, so I couldn't learn from him. But anyway, what I was going to say before this was, when I took classes with Jeff, there was like 8 people in the class. There was nobody there. He had 3 classes a week, and we begged him to teach an oil painting class. But I think
Really?
he taught us once.
Oh man.
Yeah, an underpainting burn umber class.
Yeah, you studied with him really early.
Yeah, like
Was it still in downtown?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't.
This is like, no, you weren't there. This was like 1994.
Wow, you're old, dude.
Told you. Old and experienced, wise.
That's right.
Yeah, he wasn't teaching like he teaches now. Yes.
Well, he's back to teaching like 1 class a semester.
Oh, well, I mean, but
When I was there, it was like his peak. He was
Oh.
teaching a lot of classes.
but I mean, he has other people teaching too right now. Right?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. But I'm just talking about Jeff specifically.
Yeah.
Teaching classes. He's
But
back
when
there.
I was there, it was just Jeff, and it was like
Yeah.
sometimes he would have a class on Thursday nights, but other than that, it was just Saturday and Sunday, and that's it.
Cool. Well, now that everybody feels left out of our conversation,
So,
how do you want to end it?
thanks for.
Oh, you're glowing, man. You are glowing. That's a great shot. You got like we could see the dust moving behind you. Let me see if I can zoom in on you.
the Viva paper towels. That's what it is.
Look! Oh my god, that's a lot of dust. That's a great way to end the stream.
Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. Yeah.
Wonderful.
I guess that's it.
Should I end it?
Yeah, that sounds
Okay.
good.
Thank you guys so much. Great questions. Hope you learned stuff. Go buy Aaron's course. Bye.
All right. Yay. My iPad never went below 100%.